So yeah, whenever you're ready to go. Super excited this week. The final class here, everyone. So thanks so much for all the hard work that everyone's put into creating these stories and these pitches. Super excited to kind of share what you all have learned and discovered so far throughout this journey, and super excited that a friend of mine, Brendan, super experienced in the agency world, has taken some time out of his night to come and share his background with us. I won't bore you with um, anything. I just kind of want to just really highlight the experience and work that Brendan has done and kind of, introduce him, and also give you guys just a heads up that like he'll be sharing, a quick background about him, his story and about the agency world. And also he's going to, listen to a few of your pitches, and then, he'll be out of here and kind of, we can get through the full presentation. So with that, Brendan, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. Should I, so do you want me to do like I put some slides together and do a little presentation, or?
Yeah, no, we'd love to.
Awesome.
JG, can you give Brendan share access so he can share his screen?
Yeah, he has that.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, cool. And then what do you think I should keep it to timing wise?
Eric, what do you say? Like,
yeah, listen, it's your story, it's your platform. We're handing the mic over to you. We were planning on, just however long you think you want to tell your story, but probably around no more than 20 minutes, I'd say, so we could give you a little bit of yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Let me just, sorry, my computer just froze right when I was trying to shift over here.
It's all good.
All right, well, while I'm waiting for it to unfreeze, I'll start talking, because I'm just talking about myself. So basically, what I was going to talk a bit about was my experience within social in particular. I got started in advertising right out of college. I got an internship at a small agency in San Francisco, and it was really early days. You had to have a Facebook email address to be in Facebook. MySpace was just starting to come on to the scene. I think YouTube actually launched probably around the time I started my internship. And so it was really exciting, even though I was like a pseudo, junior account person. I was always being pulled into conversations and really pushing conversations around social in particular. And in 2006, after I'd gotten hired and I was a lowly account person, I overheard the partners talking about a client that they wanted to pass on because there was no money. And I just spun around and I was like, let's pay these kids on YouTube to promote it. Like, the budget was like, it was nothing. I was like, we'll give them half and we'll take the other half, and it's gonna be amazing. And so they're like, all right, yeah, you can take it to them. Like, we'll let you pitch it. Like, we're going to pass on it anyways. And so we pitched it, they bought it. And I struck a deal with Smosh, who's a big YouTube channel. For a while, they were the #1 channel on YouTube, but they're still pretty massive. And invited the two guys. They lived up in Sacramento, so not too far away from San Francisco. They came by the office one day and we hammered out a deal in like 30 minutes. And then when the video went live, it crashed the client's website and got millions of views. And I was just like, this is so much cooler than everything else going on. Because I'd hear about how much billboards cost, and they're tens of thousands of dollars, and I'm just like, we could do so many cool things with that money. So I kind of used that as a little bit of jumping off to get a job at Mechanism, which I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's an independent creative agency. At the time, they were kind of like a hybrid production company / creative agency, and really doing a lot of early branded content and viral video stuff. So I got a job there, and we were doing tons of video, and I was basically initially just in charge of like, getting this stuff seen. And this is before you could even pay for advertising on social. Oh, and it looks like everything just unfroze. So I'm gonna pull up my slides now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it doesn't freeze again. All right, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And it's moving really slow. That's actually a screenshot from that video, that first video. Yeah, and so we did a ton of like early viral video branded content work, and I continued to work a lot with influencers as distribution partners for stuff. Jumping ahead. Sorry, my computer seems to be really bogging down right now. Oh, yeah. All right. So like, Jesus. So for example, like EA, they were launching this game Spore Vote, or Spore rather. And basically what we did was we got all these celebrities and digital influencers and basically gave them early access to a portion of the game, and they were able to create creatures, and then whoever would get the most vote on their creature would get $15,000 donated to their charity of choice. And this was another moment where it was really eye-opening how digital influencers were so powerful. Like we got some phenomenal people on there, like Richard Branson, Katy Perry, like Carlos Santana was in there, Mark Cuban, like random big famous people, Elijah Wood, and Phil DeFranco, who's still a massive YouTuber, in the far left there. He won by like 10x, like the number two, the second place people. And, we did tons of other programs. Like we did one with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. We created a viral video, and we actually created a network of 50 influencers to help push it out. We do things like live streams and have influencers basically give prizes out around specific hashtags. And we made, hashtags trend worldwide and stuff. We did the relaunch of Brisk Iced Tea with Eminem, and that was a lot of branded content. But once again, there's a whole series that didn't make it on TV, which we had to get pushed out, and created a whole network of 25 influencers to help us do that. And then in maybe 2012, 2013, somewhere around then, I joined a YouTube MCN called Fullscreen, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with those, but those are basically like they rolled up YouTube channels and sold brand integrations into them, as well as the media placements. Was there for a year, and then went off and started my own thing, Epic Signal. And the focus there was really influencer marketing and helping brands with their YouTube content strategy and optimization. And now kind of what I do, because we got acquired by Mechanism, I left Mechanism, was about to sell to somebody else, and had such a great relationship there. Like, no, come back. So came back to Mechanism. Now I oversee the social team, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit because I got out of order here. And now oversee the social team, and we do full service everything within social strategies, so all the channel management of platforms, all the content strategy, YouTube channel optimization, community management. We do a lot of like real-time activations, like the war room stuff during the Super Bowl, social listening and reporting. We do a ton of influencer networks, and then a lot of partnerships and stunts. We were really early on. We did one of the early branded hashtag challenges with TikTok. We're going to actually do a campaign launch with Triller next week, which will be fun. And so we're big fans of kind of doing first ever partnerships that are a little bit stunty. Some of the clients we work with, we do a lot of work with out on the West Coast, a lot of the Silicon Valley companies, Adobe, Dropbox, Facebook, Amazon. And then on the East Coast, it's a lot of alcohol brands. Actually, we've done a lot of work with Molson Coors, a lot of, we're working with Jose Cuervo right now, as well as several Unilever brands, so Ben and Jerry's, Talenti, and so on. And let's see. I have a case study I was going to play. Should I play that or should I just keep going? What do you think?
We love those.
All right. Oop. Can you guys hear it okay could you hear it? No? All right. Let me see. Maybe
There should be a share your audio setting when you go unshare your screen and then click into the screen share again. And then there should be a tab that says advanced audio settings.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Wait, is that it? Audio settings. Same system, maybe?
Click audio.
That seems to be it.
You gotta go to, so stop sharing your screen for a sec.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then when you hit the share screen button, at the bottom, there's 2 little check boxes. There's share computer sound and optimize screen share for video click. Click both of those and then start sharing again.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, wait. Share computer sound, optimize. Okay, cool. Let's see. Hopefully that works and it doesn't freeze again. All right, can you guys see it okay?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right. Can you guys hear that okay? Or could you just pause it? Okay, cool. All right, I'll let it play now.
Wait, I don't hear anything. Does anybody else hear anything?
Nope.
No.
I think it's because he has the audio going to his headphones.
It's weird. I changed it over to the setting. Well, why don't I've got links to all this stuff. Why don't I send it around and you guys can take a look at it later. I don't want to eat up too much of your time. But long story short, we've got what it was we actually created an influencer ambassador program for Mountain Dew where we signed influencers to multi-year contracts and then had them do event appearances. They were integrated into Super Bowl ads, obviously creating their own content. And the whole campaign generated something like 500 million views over the course of 2 years. So that was something that I was really proud of and I think showed the efficacy of influencers. And right now, I think when a lot of us in advertising talk about influencers, we're really focused on doing these kind of one-off campaigns. And I think bringing them in as real partners and collaborators is incredibly effective, and it provides a lot of flexibility and a lot of economies of scale as well, because you're not always kind of onboarding people. Yeah, that's pretty much, well, I had a little bit of kind of where I see the future of social being or going. Do you think I should go through that, or did I take up too much time?
No,
No,
I
I
personally
would love to hear that.
All right.
So that's 2 people. So yeah.
All right, sweet. So yeah, kind of 3 big things where I think things are going in advertising and social in particular is I think we're seeing this trend where the closer the technology and advertising is bringing us to foster relationships, the more success those companies are seeing. And one of the things we're seeing a lot of is the rise of dark social, which is basically just social communication that's not public on Twitter, et cetera. It's more, SMS or Discord or Slack or private Facebook groups. And people are investing a lot in this because you can own a direct line of communication to your audience. Organic reach on social platforms is going down and ad dollars are tightening. People don't want to pay to promote, to reach their audience every time. And it really fosters a deep sense of community. And then of course there's an added layer of, with so many platforms and publications or, on the social networks, obviously a lot of them are in hot water right now. There's brand safety issues. So you can kind of make sure that, you are the medium, so you don't need to worry about those types of things. And you guys have probably seen, celebrities and influencers giving out their phone numbers. That's this company, or most of them are using this company called Community, where basically it's like a mass text message platform, but you can also curate based on individuals. So people fill out a little form or questionnaire when they text for the first time, and then that gets pulled into a CMS, and they can segment consumers based on where they live, age, interests, whatever questions they ask. And it's a really interesting way, because then they can communicate out, and then they can get all the responses and choose to respond individually or at scale. And so that's something that we're seeing a lot of and pitching a lot of. Live streaming, I think, is getting really exciting, and live streaming and e-commerce in particular are integrating really quickly. And China is really the tip of the spear here. I think over the last 5 or 6 years, they've really been leading the way in terms of what's happening in social. And right now, over the last 2 years, shoppertainment has really been massive. And so this year, it's going to generate $136 billion in sales in China alone. Here in the US, we're seeing the rise of Facebook Shops and e-commerce integration for live video. And then Amazon launched their live video platform for influencers who can sell and drive affiliate revenue. And then the next thing is just the rise of influencer-driven products and influencers as brands. So, James Charles, the big makeup influencer, Morphe didn't just pay him to promote an existing product, they created a product with him. And these influencers, in particular, obviously makeup and beauty is huge right now, but they are selling out product and setting records. Like Morphe, who owns a bunch of stores, they have their same day in-store sales record broken when they launched this Jeffree Star makeup palette. And they keep breaking records as a result of these influencer collaborations. And a lot of other brands are doing it well also, but those are topical ones. So that was my high level kind of how I got into this space, what I'm doing now, and kind of where I see things headed. So yeah, with that, any questions?
I mean, I'm just curious about kind of like your thoughts, or just kind of like, I'd love to get your hot take on the situation we're all tackling here. And then also would love it if anyone else would kind of want to share anything, but I'm just curious to hear, like, all right, if you were helping Lululemon and Mirror implement any sort of influencer or social strategy, where would you begin, or what would that look like?
For sure. And actually, real quick question, was I not projecting that whole last section?
Oh, you mentioned, you were like, oh, I guess I don't need to. So yeah, there was no project. I thought you were.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll send it around after. I was following along on the slides. All right. I meant the video. I'll send it around later. All right. Well, hopefully it wasn't totally nonsensical then. But that's embarrassing.
No, you're good, man. I followed along with the story. We were all just listening, so don't worry about the presentation.
Yeah, that's why nobody said anything. It just felt like you were, just telling us about the future of social.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right,
taking
cool,
notes.
cool,
Like,
cool.
yeah, go ahead. Tell us about the future of social, Brendan.
I was doing
Awesome.
the same thing.
Cool. Well, yeah. Okay. So me being on the social side, I think, and this is always the ideal world when you've got the time and everything. I think the first thing would be, obviously looking at the brief and figuring out, okay, what do they think is their point of differentiation in the audience, and would look at probably set up social listening. So I don't know how familiar you guys are, but like we've got all these tools. Like there's tools like Infogee is the one we use. There's others like Crimson Hexagon and Meltwater, where basically you plug in kind of, we want to see all the conversation in social around this topic or this key term. And it'll provide a snapshot of kind of the volume of conversation. Most of them will provide some directional insight in terms of who is talking about it. Sometimes they'll even have geographic, if not demographic, and so I would do that based on Lululemon or Mirror, and see what people are saying about them. So I would have some insight into what are other people saying is great or not great about it, and then I would do the same with their competitors. And I think that provides a good snapshot in terms of kind of what is the actual reason to believe, or what do consumers latch onto. What oftentimes it provides a lot of insight too in terms of what advertisers or partners are really working hard for them. So for example, we work with Cricket Wireless, and we did social listening, and they were asking us, like, we've got all these partnerships, like which ones should we keep, which ones should we not? And we saw that, well, initially we didn't think this would be worthwhile. We saw that the WWE was like off the charts in terms of sparking conversation for them. And initially we had no idea why they were even doing that partnership. So that would probably be where I'd start, and then distill those insights and kind of ideally incorporate those into the internal brief.
Dope.
Is that helpful?
No, super helpful. And like, I guess the other thing real quick is like, when you're thinking about this, like what sort of, like, give me one idea that you would tell, a manager or director working on the Lululemon business, like what sort of stunt or thing based on what you're finding, like, would you try to sell Lululemon through live streams, or would you maybe try to create some sort of campaign to get, people using it? Like, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, from an execution standpoint, I would probably break it out into like owned, earned, paid initially. And on the owned front, we would look at their social channels and try and develop clear content strategy. And the framework we use most often, not all the times, most often, is this thing called Hero, Hub, and Help. And basically what it is, you've got a new product or a new campaign, your go big moments that are once a quarter, once every 6 months. That's your hero content. Not every piece of content that goes out on social can be a hit. It's just not realistic. And so, you kind of table that, and then you look at, all right, Hub is your recurring episodic content, your kind of the stuff that the community comes to know your channels to stand for. And this being a fitness brand, probably the things I would think about are like, well, what are the habits? When are people using this? The one that's kind of cliche but comes to mind is like Motivation Monday, workout, you could do like Workout Wednesday, and it's like highlighting people and their workouts or giving workout tips. And really it's just establishing a format and maintaining that format, but the execution changes on a set schedule. And it's helpful because I think constraints really help with social in particular, because otherwise every week you're just like, what the hell are we going to come up with? It's difficult. And it also allows you to make little changes over time. You can see what people respond to. And then the third bucket is help content, and that's what are people searching for. So that can be, you know, from just a general, like people are always searching for what's a good workout to do. And oftentimes they're going to social, or what are trends related to this category that we could potentially capitalize on. And so, you know, obviously like real time and jumping onto trends is a big thing with brands, but not everything makes sense. So typically we would establish some sort of like a filter or criteria. And oftentimes we look, you know, at the past 6 or 12 months and identify what are some moments where maybe the brand was mentioned or the category was mentioned that just totally popped off, and how could we insert ourselves into that in a cool way that is likely to happen again. Because to be honest, like, you know, the real-time moments, you know, 90% of them are relatively predictable. There are trends that occur. Obviously there's some random meme from time to time, but a lot of things are very repeatable. And I think one of my favorite examples of this that we came up with was, for a while we were working with Jack Link's beef jerky. And we were trying to think, like, they were a cool brand, they're down to do crazy work. And so we were trying to think about what can our real-time strategy be? And so we looked at the social listening and we realized, like, and this is one that's obvious, like when you say it, but like Twitter beefs. And so we basically sold through to the client, like, all right, this is how next time a Twitter beef pops off, we're going to like participate on Twitter. And like, we actually designed like a template that for a sticker that we'd actually physically print and then place onto the bag, so it looked like it was like a custom designed bag, and we could just bang it out. Like in 5 minutes we could see a Twitter beef, email the client, be like, hey, it's so and so and so and so, are you cool with that? Like, and then they're like, yes, we're down, or no, let's wait until the next one. And then we just printed out, slapped it on, took a photo, and jumped in. And you know, people loved it. So yeah, that would be like the own. And then on the earn side, yeah, we'd start thinking about different stunts and activations. I think a tried and true kind of format is, what is the first ever partnership with a platform, or the first ever to use a new feature. I mean, really with any platform, especially new platforms, they're desperate for case studies. And so, you know, if you go to them with a brand, they'll oftentimes give you, if they've never been able to do something with the brand, they'll usually do it for free or very inexpensively for the PR. And oftentimes you will get PR because the headline kind of writes itself. It's, you know, brand is the first ever partnership with, you know, this emerging platform. Yeah, so that was like a lot, but then we would look at paid and use cases and stuff as well.
I was going to say, for not putting a lot of money behind, I think, I don't know, but it sounds like that was sort of a guerrilla tactic there. And 100%. I love examples like that. It reminds me of early Instagram. Rick and Morty had the Ricksterverse. And then early on for GIFs, there was the EA Madden, I think 16 or whatever, GIFerator. All hilarious examples of either twisting the way that people use a social platform, or really surprising real-time kind of Wendy's mean tweets, right? Like a classic example. I love that. I love that. So cool. Well, Brendan, thank you so much for sharing some of your stories, some case studies. I really hope you get to send along those videos, because I know I'm a nerd for this stuff. I would love to see it personally, and I'm sure everyone here would. Can you stick around for a few elevator pitches?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. I think we should dive right in. All right. Who wants to volunteer to be the first group? And as we discuss who's going first, Brendan, just to give you quick context, I'm sure Trev is giving you the lowdown, but I'll just repeat it for everyone here. So guys, you've all been working so hard for the last 4 weeks on this Lululemon and Mirror acquisition, post-acquisition new business pitch. So, you know, a few of the complications that come up for new business, especially right now. How is COVID-19 impacting not only business, but the way that agencies secure more business, right? And so a lot of this course was built around not only how do you sell in your ideas and craft a story as quickly as possible, knowing that a lot of these turnarounds happen in 2 weeks or less, and then also gearing up for, there are so many different career passion points here. And not everyone is in agency, not everyone is after capitalist greed. So some of you guys are in nonprofits and charities. So, but how do you apply the same principles, right? How do you get people to buy into whether it's a cause, a campaign, just a belief system that you're trying to offload? So, Brendan, we can't wait to get some of your obviously your expertise, some of the context that you bring, and I'm so excited to share some of these ideas. Trav and I have been working hard on bringing them from concept to finish. So we got some really spicy strategic positionings to share. All right, who wants to go first? Everyone, all right.
I see
Michael Watson's group. Let's do it.
Who's on it, Michael?
I believe Pablo will start.
Well,
okay.
are we doing the elevator pitch first and then into the deck, or we're doing the full
Yeah,
deck?
so while we have Brendan here, we're going to just do the elevator pitch. We're going to go through the three teams. We're going to try and keep it to a minute max per. And then in the second half, unfortunately, Brendan, I think you'll have to depart, and then we can go through the larger pitch.
Okay.
Then that would be me for
So
group one
that'll
then for
be-
the pitch.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
CJ.
So, hey, Brandon. So basically our strategy is aimed towards empowering their user to build the life they want. So millennials are concerned with health and mindfulness and wellness and have taken control of their life in various aspects of it, and especially that fitness realm. However, COVID-19 has been a disruptor for everybody that was living this lifestyle, but specifically for millennials. With this brand, it's hard to sweat because of this pandemic. So with our strategy, Mirror is empowering people with more personalized ways to build their ideal life through content and convenience. Conceptually, we're trying to, we're going to land on reflecting the life you want to see.
I like that. I was curious where you're going with it, because like I think those are all good insights, but I was trying to think about like what's the point of differentiation, because a lot of that leading up to it is like, yeah, it's like it applies to fitness and the consumer in general, but the reflection is, it's a nice touch.
So basically what we want to do is build content that actually adds value and aids them to build a better life, not just workout. Right? So we need to expand what Mirror does. And I guess we would have to, the deck would do a better job.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't know how long is everyone's decks? Like, I'm wondering if like there's a way we can give the elevator pitch and then maybe show a slide, but I don't know if that's taking away from the presentation, or I don't know if is that what you're looking for, Brendan?
Oh, no. Well, how long is the whole process? Maybe I'd be able to stick around.
So we end at 9. So typically each group gets about 20 minutes to present. So you know what? You stay as long as you're comfortable. I mean, if you want to see the actual, I don't know why my camera went off. If you want to see the whole pitch deck, I put in a fake rule, a 60-second slide. So every single slide is max a minute. So it should take 20 minutes per group, hour total.
Cool. Yeah, probably actually I do have to bounce in a sec. So, or not necessarily.
Let's do the short ones, and then see if we can get any feedback or questions quickly. Then we'll do that, and we can finish up.
I thought that was awesome.
Well then,
long story short.
Yeah, no, the first story went good. Then we'll go to group 2 and 3, and then any sort of questions that anyone has out there, we can ask Brandon, and then we can let him get on to the night. So group 2.
Yeah, group 2. Let's do it.
That is me. Okay, so when it comes to why you're skipping the gym today, there are reasons and there are excuses. We're not here to convince you to work out. We want to help you achieve your fitness goals. one of the observations that we found is women don't prioritize their health because of the roles and the expectations that they have. They have a tendency of putting other people's needs before their own, especially when it comes to family and friends. So one of the things that we really wanted to understand is how that anxiety plays into how anxiety affects how they understand. 65% of women avoid going to the gym because it causes them anxiety. So that's actually where I'm going to start. How can we reduce the anxiety and change our lifestyle? It's by understanding them and their emotions. The key to healthy living isn't the key to healthy living is to make fitness a consistent part of their life. So we need to treat it like we're listening to their emotions. Sometimes they're positive and sometimes they're negative. But what we want to do is we want to help them transform their emotions into energy. And that's the first time that I actually went through this on my own. So it's not reflective of the group. We're just essentially doing this for the first time. So
yeah. I think there were some awesome insights in that. The stat you were mentioning about what was the stat you said about what prevents them from going?
65% of women avoid going to the gym because it causes them anxiety.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I guess that seems like a really strong insight, and it seemed like you had a lot of strong insights, I guess. And this is tough because I'm not seeing obviously the whole strategy and everything, but it feels like there's like a lot of tension there, and I almost wonder if there's a way to like lean into that even more, because that seems like such a powerful insight, and like it's obviously it's a differentiator in so many ways. It seems like there's probably a way to maybe hammer that part home a little bit stronger is my gut reaction, but definitely a solid foundation in place.
Yeah, I think for me, like a quick comment is, and again, guys, I came from a musical background, so a lot of my mental training came from hours and hours in the practice room and this old Russian lady drilling things into my head. But the one soft thing she told me early on was, it's okay to be nervous. It just means you care. But to be anxious, to be fearful, is to give your power away. So instead of thinking of it as butterflies in your stomach, what if you had them all fly in the same formation, right? And I think that's sort of like the quote that's getting to a little bit of your strategy, which is saying, they feel a lot of anxiety, but how do we translate anxiety into raw energy that you could put into your sweat life performance, to speak in terms of Lululemon? So I think, to your point, Brent, definitely if we had 30, 40 slides, I'm sure that would be so well visualized. It is hard to get there in 60 seconds, but very cool. Very, very cool. All right. And then for timing's sake, group 3, you're up.
Okay, that's me. So I'm going to start here for group 3. And first we wanted to look at what COVID-19 and what that has done to the world, right? And we know that COVID-19 has actually made working out from home the new normal. And along with that, we have many behavioral shifts, but that's one important one as we look at our category, which is why it's perfect timing for Lululemon plus Mirror, because we feel that as these two brands come together with one objective, which is really change lives from the inside out in a new era of wellness enthusiasts. Because we're seeing that people are changing, and that's kind of changing also the way that they're working out and the way that they're taking care of their mental health. So as we look at the inside out, we're seeing that many things are shifting. And as we look at the hierarchy of needs, many things have actually been jeopardized. And we know that that's really impeding people to reach higher, which is where Lululemon can really come in. People are really being forced to detach from others while also detaching from themselves, which can make it very difficult for them to regain the path that they were in. So in this era of anxiety, depression, and loneliness, how can Lululemon plus Mirror become that hero that can help people remain connected to others and themselves? And also, more importantly, how can Lululemon make them get back on their path to that path that they were in, right? And that's that path of self-actualization. So we know that this is where exactly where Lululemon plus Mirror come in, because we know that differentiating is the three things that they really differentiate. And it's like they have the opportunity of giving back what people have lost, which is that ownership, which is really taking charge through connected fitness holistically, which is something that we know that people are looking for as they're trying to merge the inside and outside as well, along with that community that really inspires them to push them forward. So as we look at those three things, how are those three things connected to help people move forward in the path that they were in? We know that the core of the idea really lies in the insight that fitness nowadays is not about looking perfect, but it's really about looking deep where you can find yourself and make sure that it's deeper than the reflection that you look at yourself in the mirror. We're talking about the reflection of a future where your full potential can be unleashed. And it's all about how do we get people from the hierarchy all the way to self-actualization, which is where our idea landed, which is all about this journey is beyond the reflection of yourself. It's about your true self looking back at you. So it's also about like that future self that you're trying to build, and how can Mirror help you get there?
That's awesome. I like that a lot. I mean, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's like taps into, it's like both specific to them and their point of differentiation, but also like taps into like what everybody wants with like working out is like, you know, like I'm gonna look awesome. You know, I'm gonna look back on this and like, you know, it's like, it's a really, it's not a before and after, but it sparks that type of thought process. That's cool.
Inspire really that inspiration looking forward, because I think if you don't have that inspiration, you're not going to get anywhere, because it's difficult to not have that vision. So we wanted to make it seem that how can people build themselves along Mirror as they get to the top of this journey.
Very cool. And not to totally go off track, but with Mirror, I'm not super familiar with it. I know what it is, but is there a community component to it, kind of like Peloton and stuff? Okay.
So what we're seeing is that Lululemon actually had that community at the stores, and what's happening with COVID-19, that community has been gone, but you're able to connect with other people that are using Mirror as well. So you're able to build that community online and kind of check off that differentiating. The differentiation really lies in the three aspects, because like Peloton has a community and has other things, but it's like, how do you bring the three things together so you can really stand out in the category?
Very cool.
But this is for everyone now. This is just from my gut feeling, so I could be completely wrong. But compared to Peloton, for example, right, I would say that the Lululemon Mirror community is not nearly as strong, whether in terms of number or to share a voice online, correct?
Yeah, no, not at the moment. It's all about like, how do we build each other to inspire each other? And it's like that full circle. I'm not only looking for inspiration, I'm looking to give inspiration. So I think that's also like the differentiating aspect as well.
Yeah, that's really powerful, especially knowing that, you know, Peloton had to kind of earn its community by scratch almost, whereas Lululemon sort of is just like copy and pasting over to a new product they just acquired. So it'll definitely be interesting to see.
They've had so many ambassadors already that it's like, how do we, and as we go deeper into the pitch, it's like, how do we grab those ambassadors that are already there to kind of build this community and kickstart this community? Because we know that all the other competitors do have a community out there. So how can we push forward to build that community quicker? And we have a kickstarting.
Yeah. And speaking of influencers, Brendan, I know time is tight, so we don't want to keep you too long. Where can we keep up with you? Where can we follow along? Do you have a strategy Twitter? What's going on with you in social?
I pretty much anywhere on social, just my full name at Brendan Gan. And I can send the deck around with and send over my info. But yeah, I'm on Twitter. I post a lot on LinkedIn and I post a lot on Twitter. So those are probably the best places. I'm not super active on Instagram these days. But yeah, those two are the best. And if you want to geek out on influencer marketing and obscure social media features, that's what I've got. If not, probably best not to follow.
I will say one thing about Brendan's LinkedIn post. I do look forward to seeing some sort of new super valuable insight about social. Because literally every time he tweets or posts something, I'm literally like the reaction of like, oh my God, like I never would have known this. So just every single day that when I see one of your tweets or your LinkedIn posts, I'm like, he's always dropping fire.
And make sure to follow that recent episode between these two on the Community Builder Show podcast. Great episode.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Thanks,
well, appreciate
guys.
you so much, Brendan. Thanks so much for hopping in here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is awesome. You guys have a lot of phenomenal thinking. So off to a great start.
Yeah,
awesome.
We'll keep you posted when the first group gets that proposal from Lululemon.
Awesome. All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too,
all right. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you, Brendan.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Very, very
right.
cool. Trav, thanks for bringing Brendan. All right, cool. So let's dive into the actual presentation. So first of all, feedback for everyone. I think that was great. 60 seconds is really hard to dump 40 slides into. Obviously, like now you see. But I only thought of that exercise because it happened to us, right? Like a few weeks ago, we got dumped 4 pitches at the same time. And it's a pitch that's between 3 of our sister agencies within the same network. It's a lot of coordination. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of ideas. And I know Group 2, I think this is something that you guys have been working on, is with so many different ideas and this hive mind, how do you find the balance between all the different invested interests and strategies, right? So I think that's something I've been learning a lot about. I've also been learning about how to conduct new business pitches in this new virtual kind of post-COVID reality. And really what it comes down to is before you even share your screen, your agency's won like 40% of the way based on how you treat the client, right? Like, what is that chemistry across the screen? It's going to be so valuable. And I'm not saying you should start off every pitch by not showing a presentation, giving a 60-second elevator pitch. And that's not what I mean, but it's how do you soft sell before you do the hard sell? And a lot of time that's storytelling. Not that it's more or less valuable than the storytelling we've been doing across the 5 weeks, but it's a different kind of storytelling. And the whole purpose of new business strategy is to really understand how to sell in which contexts. And that's something that certainly, in this class would be impossible to teach in every session, but hopefully some of the tidbits that I've been dropping here and there are useful. And before we get started with Group 3, so we're going to go backwards the order we just did. Before we dive into that, I want to say I've tracked all of your progress throughout the 4 weeks. This is phenomenal, right? Sometimes you don't even get this long because I know you guys aren't doing this as a full-time job. So I can only imagine how many hours you guys are scrounging up between the four of you, right? So, for each group to bring such cohesive and strong positionings for a brand together, I think every group has something to be proud of. Moving forward, I'm not disappearing like I promised in the first class. If you guys want to get in touch and you want to have an office hour, and honestly, I don't care how often, please feel free to email me. You have my contact information. Text me, LinkedIn, DM me, wherever you can find me. Drop me a line. I will be here to help. So don't be a stranger. But having said that, let's get back on track. Group 3, would love to see your full presentation.
Y'all can hit me up too if y'all want to talk.
Oh, thanks.
Rob, you're an avatar in a workout machine, okay? You're good.
All right, so I will kick this off. Hi, everyone. We're Group Todavía, Rosy, Todavía. Hi, everyone. We're Group 3, and today we'll be presenting our strategic pitch for Lululemon and Mirror. So let's get started with the obvious, our new normal. And when it comes to fitness, for most of us, our new normal means working out at home. And according to an article from the Financial Post, this behavior is likely to stick post the pandemic, which we agree. As our safety needs are being jeopardized, we feel this is a strong force that impacts our behavior. Mirror, joining the Lululemon family, presents great opportunities in the new normal. It's 2 brands with one objective: move away from only selling attire to fully immersing consumers in experiences that can change their lives from the inside out. And from our research, one of the things that resonated with us, the most with us about this union is that this could represent a new era for activewear and fitness content. But before we get there, we need to address a big problem, which is affecting Americans. You may have seen the headlines. Some of you may be even experiencing some of these things. Dale, Rosy. Some of these things are ourselves or know someone that is. Mental illness, specifically anxiety, depression, loneliness, are affecting Americans in more ways than one. Their health, their well-being, and their pockets. And now, adding fuel to the fire, the current pandemic is turning these issues into real crisis, a crisis that can't be treated with traditional medicine alone. We know Americans have been looking elsewhere, looking deeper, opening up to taking on a more holistic approach to their health and fitness. But these solutions will depend on our ability to interact and connect with others. And as I stated earlier, that everyday ability is being threatened now more than ever. Uncertainty and fear are generating a behavioral change. This makes us ask, how can you stay connected with others? And how can you stay connected with yourself? As we're being forced to detach from others, and at the same time, we're also detaching from ourselves, resulting in a lack of esteem. For this reason, our greatest opportunity for this union lies in the inner self of the individual. We aim to get people back on their way to self-actualization, to the desire to become the most that they can be. We'll be focusing on 3 pillars: ownership, which is giving them the ability to take charge of their journey; connection, connected fitness for mind, body, and soul; and community, being part of a community that inspires each other.
Both Lululemon and Mirror know that they are speaking with a new audience, with a person who not only cares about their body, but also knows the importance of connecting their mind, body, and soul. A new era of wellness, not just fitness enthusiasts. To find about our target, we looked into a spectrum across 2 generations, Millennials and Generation X. But we narrowed that even further to focus on the more mature, active Millennials, Generation 1, Y.2, and the younger Gen Xers, who are go-getters and all about work-life balance. And we found something in common across these generations: stimulation. This is a key value, emphasizing a life full of excitement, novelties, and challenges. And this is the target segment we landed on: 50-50 male and female, median age of 37. They are defined by wellness is life, not a lifestyle; connected fitness, as they expect seamless integration across gadgets; conscious living, all about being an active participant in life journey; and thriving together online just comes natural to them. They are tired of always looking perfect, and they know that in order to connect with others, they must create the space to connect with themselves. It's about looking deep and finding yourself. I'm sorry, can you hear?
No.
Okay.
I should have done that before.
Mm-hmm.
That's heavy. What does it mean to see your true self? Isn't that why everyone's here?
Come look at the true mirror here. It's the world's only mirror that doesn't reverse your image. So for the first time you're seeing yourself without that flip. The big thing is that we have so much information about who we are in our eyes. And our eyes change when you flip them. They change to where they actually stop working. Like when we're smiling, there's light in our eyes, and it's light with meaning. And it's like, it sparkles, it's beautiful, it's lovely. It's like, wow, you know? And you get to see that in the true mirror because you see the meaning behind the sparkle. And then I show them the backwards mirror, and I go, yeah, that's who you've seen your whole life. And they go, whoa. And I say, that's how it's been for the whole human race. They go, whoa. So there's really deep and profound significance to this experience. Okay.
Oh my God, it's so different.
Right, right.
It's so that's from your brain. Wait, Jesse, I do this. So that's from your brain.
He and I had this relationship, me and the guy on the mirror. And it was like looking at my best friend, my double. And he looks just like me. He is me.
So this is, as we can see here in this video, it's a lot about like the power that a mirror has, right? And our big idea really centers in what truly means to look at yourself in the mirror. You see a reflection of yourself, but if you look deep enough, like he was saying there's so much information in your eyes, and that can really sparkle even more. And that can really sparkle and really get you to imagine yourself beyond the reflection that you're seeing at that moment, which is where our idea has landed. So as we see, our big idea is centered around the fact that this journey is beyond the reflection of yourself. It's about your true self looking back at you. And it's a spectrum of what you're seeing today and what you will see in the future, which is here how we're seeing the meet your true self, because we're trying to build that connection between what you're seeing today and what you're seeing in your future. And how can Lululemon get you to that future self that you're looking at, which is your true self? So as we move into the next slide, is a little bit more as to how is this campaign gonna come to life, right? And we're seeing that it is through an idea of an avatar of your true self, and that this avatar is the one that's gonna help you get to the future self and that true self that you're looking at. So that true self is working hard to become, by taking care of that, your avatar, inherently taking care of yourself. So as you do that together along with your avatar, you're taking care and thriving together to reaching your full potential together. Because that's how we're seeing this idea come to life and that expression of that idea. And more importantly, we're seeing that our campaign will have 3 different ways of activating based on the audience opportunities that we have seen in our research. And those are choice, online tribe, and progress tracking. And the way that we're seeing is that what is the insight at for the who, right? This is the person that's conscious living about being present and aiming to experience life in full potential. So we feel that there we have a big opportunity to really give them choices through the content that we're able to see, and Jose will take you guys through that. But it is important for them. It's like this idea of having the choices. The how, fitness and wellness is social experience that embrace community and building connections online. And that's when we get to that online tribe. And as we were talking about in the elevator pitch, is like, how do we build that togetherness within the online tribe to inspire and support each other? And I think it's the important here is that we have that full circle of inspiration and support, because it's not just I'm looking for, but I'm also giving that support. And then finally, the what, it's about setting goals and pushing hard and smart and really showing progress, which is also where we have a big opportunity with Mirror to really show them the tangible of tracking progress with seamless connectivity, use tech to enhance really that journey that they're going through. So those are the 3 pillars that we will see as we expand on this campaign that ladder up to that bigger idea that we just talked about. Now Jose will take you guys through.
So the ways that we're going bringing this avatar live is basically making conscious eating easy for you, and doing integrations with your favorite food delivery apps, because nutrition is like a key part of your overall health. So you will have like a lot of options based on your goals, so you can continue through that path that will take you to unleash your full potential. Also, we will be connecting you to an inspiring community through a lot of virtual competition, group classes, and things that will inspire not just you inspiring others, but you getting inspiration from a lot of people that is doing the same. They're in the same journey that you are, like trying to unleash that through this mirror and their avatar. And also allowing you to look deep into yourself and actually detach from your own issues, so you can have a real conversation with yourself and trying to figure out how you can start doing your positive self-talk. And we got some inspiration because we wanted to, with this avatar, we wanted to be about celebrating your true self, the attitude that you need to have in order to inspire others and to be your true self. So we basically want to celebrate the authenticity, how you can, through your authenticity, inspire other people to do their best, and show them how everything that you set a goal for is achievable for you, how you can push further and be a better person than you were yesterday every single day, and how through that you can create a community of people that thrive together. So our goal is basically to make Mirror a must-have in every wellness enthusiast, a new era wellness enthusiast that we found out. And we're doing that through exciting about the future of wellness. Like, this is the future, and this is the way that it's going to be. We're making it easy for you, propelling the use of the Mirror, with showing them the endless possibilities, not the things that we just showed, but a lot of things can be done, and you can be like a better person every single day with the endless possibilities that the Mirror has for you, and getting the people the content so they can put the work, so you can start sweating. So we're gonna make this in a 4-phase rollout plan, where we basically want to ignite and ignite curiosity through the ambassadors. Now that we know that Lululemon has all these ambassadors already, use them and take the leverage so we can make this and ignite the curiosity through that ambassador program that's already existing. And then we want in October make and building excitement through trials with micro influencers and using the retail activations. We hope that in October we can go to stores. Then in November we want to do a launch. It will be a virtual launch with all the avatars of everyone that is already using it, and it will be like with using a lot of PR and a lot of paid media to get the avatar. And then we want to secure that the people is using the avatar in the long term. So we want to make an engagement part that we roll out through the whole year. And we were considering like, dale la siguiente. We were considering like a lot of cultural events that are related to health and wellness, and because we want to have a 360, like a holistic approach, like everything that we are thinking about is in a holistic approach. So we want to take in consideration every single aspect of these wellness enthusiasts. They're taking care of their health. They want to do, that's why we're taking in consideration like Winter Classic, the Yoga Expo, Body, Mind and Soul Expo. And through the whole year, we're gonna activate this with a lot of stunts and launching a lot of more things with that. Also, we wanna, pero súper rápido. So we want to focus on things like health, not just in the mind and the body, but we want to like in the soul. That's why we're taking in consideration like yoga and all the other ones that we're doing. Question: when was the last time you saw yourself in the mirror?
Wow. Philosophical. I love it. Oh, so well done. So well done. What do we think? What do we think? I don't want to be the only person giving feedback here.
No, I was just going to ask, are we going everybody around feedback, or are we going to do one big round and close out with feedback on everybody?
I ran out of English.
Well, I don't know about you, but I won't be remembering anything.
Yeah, no, let's get the feedback now. Yeah. So I think you all did a great job of pulling all of your ideas together, and especially pivoting and iterating quickly. I think was one of the highlights, at least for me, as Eric and I saw this group develop. You guys had this almost insane bond from a camaraderie point of view that I want to point out, because without being able to do that, it's really difficult to get so many ideas flushed out and landed on. So I just wanted to commend you all just for how you've been able to come together and literally having our meetings on Tuesday nights and just getting that stuff done together. And then also the time you spent outside of it. I just wanted to say, like, you all did a great job from a definitely team perspective. And then also, like, you did a great job with, like, realizing that, you know, trying to keep it a very, very short time frame per slide. Like, I'm kind of looking at some of the tactical things, but then also in terms of, like, ideas, I'll let Eric kind of go into more of, like, the conceptual agency focused things. I'm just going off of, like, kind of just observations. And I also just really loved kind of, like, where you all landed at the end. Just, like, seeing kind of, again, where this started and kind of where you ended up. Just wanted to say, like, great job. And yeah, that's all I got for this. Cause, like, you guys broke out a lot of the kinks as we went through the process each week. So yeah, I just would say, like, great job overall. But go ahead, Eric. I know I didn't cover everything.
No. I think you touched on a lot of great points. I completely agree with the team chemistry thing. And I think the way that it translated for me was that there was incredible focus, right? So it was very clear what the problems were week over week. I wouldn't even say problems, but the pieces of the deck that needed working on, right? And one of the hardest parts of new business pitches is that there's so many different stakeholders that want to tell so many different stories. So to pick one story, one lane, and continue to work on that for 4 weeks, it landed you in a place where you were able to work on things like a rollout plan, right? And the logistics is often the last part, right? It's just not, it's not a sexy part of pitching. So often it gets left to, PMs or account people to do behind the scenes. But, just to see that strategic underpinning work throughout, and then also a rollout plan, and noticing, there are pieces in culture that we can tack our campaign onto, and here are the trends that drove the creative concept alone. I say this every week, but I'm no creative director. I can't comment on the validity of your ideas itself, but what I can comment on is, by the time you get to the execution, does everything make sense? And did it almost fill in all the blanks? When I read that creative execution, I'm not left with questions. I go, okay, I mean, maybe there could have been a more surprising idea, or a more creative idea, or a bigger idea, but the idea is true. It's right. It's real, right? And I can see it get executed and rolled out. So I think in terms of the strategy, which is, again, because that's sort of my goal at least, I think you guys did a bang on job with it. And absolutely, there's a lot to be proud of. I think there are a few kinks to work out. So one thing, obviously, the presentation of it, I think there were times where I thought, this piece of the story is really impactful. This piece of the story is really impactful. How did we get from this to this? There could be one more slide maybe, or maybe presented in a different way. But I think there were individual sections that were really, really memorable. And I think at the end of the day, your creative concept, your core insight of, using the mirror as an analog, and really recognizing, what does a mirror do in the customer's life, irrespective of a connected piece of technology. I think you really use the analog to drive the insight behind what the future fitness could be. So that's my biggest takeaway from your group. And to have a core human insight to take away, that's always the goal. That's really impressive. But I'll leave it to everyone else. I mean, what do we think, and everyone that's on this call, right? I mean, any feedback, positive or constructive? JG, Willie, please feel free to chime in. I would love to hear your thoughts as well.
And if I chime in, this class is going to have to be like 3 hours longer. So now I will say, the one thing that I will say, Eric, I love the idea, and to Eric's point of, like, he's looking at the strategy as a creative director, I kind of saw the idea. I think something that worked really well between the creative idea and the strategy there was, I think, Travis, you brought up this point of, like, when that came up, I didn't have questions about it. You know what I mean? So often when you see these pitches, you look at the strategy and you look at the creative, and they're two different presentations. I think there was a really impactful moment with the idea of true self. You could get really philosophical and deep with that about, the connection between Lululemon and Mirror, and Lululemon literally being a product that majority women, but men as well, look at as, do I look good in this, right? Is it not just good workout gear, but do I feel good about working out in this gear? Then the product synergy there with an item that is quite literally a mirror. I think from a creative idea perspective, concentrating on that true self idea was really interesting. Really, really a fun kind of juxtaposition there between the two.
Thank you.
Love it. Anybody from any other groups? Got any thoughts or anything they want to add? I know y'all are about to go, so I totally get if everyone's going to stay silent to stay focused, but figured I'd throw it out there.
No, I loved it. I thought it was great, and I love how every week we saw it progress little by little, which is something I'm very jealous of, because it felt fluid from week 1 right to week 5, which is amazing. So great job, guys.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it kind of feels like you guys figured out the problem like early on, like almost like week 1, where we kind of like figured out our problem like yesterday, like it's a different. So
That's
it was
true.
pretty good. It was really good. It was really good.
All right. Very, very cool, guys. See, I mean, your efforts don't go unnoticed. So very, very well done. Please feel free to reach out after if you want to continue to develop this for fun. Or who knows, even get in front of people who work at Lululemon.
For business.
Wait, before we even get there, I had an idea that I'm going to throw in the middle so people could think about it as they go through their stuff. But even though we didn't invite particular Lululemon or Mirror execs into this one, or we weren't able to actually secure any, not that any weren't invited, we tried. But what I was thinking is, like, as we think about rollout and like sharing these things, it could be interesting if we all created our own little influencer agency together and used our own social collective reach to then maybe tag a brand manager at Lululemon and say, hey, my team from group 1 did this. Hey, the team from group 2 did that. Hey, the team from group 3 did that. And then collectively, if we all 15 of us share Lululemon for a week, someone's going to pay the frick attention. So just throwing that idea out there, since we weren't able to actually get anybody in here, if y'all want to, just wanted to see that before we got off the call, before I forgot.
And don't worry, JG, you'll get 15% of whatever we earn.
15? I thought we said 3.
I heard
Right.
25. That's why I'm on this call. I heard 25%.
Wow, there you go. Okay, we'll negotiate it later. If you have an elevator pitch, please. Anyway, so group two. Let's do group 2.
All right. Group 2. I'll present this. Hold on 1 second. Look, this over here. And
Also, just want to say that George wishes that he could be here with us. He's just really sick right now. So, but we're glad that he was able to help us all the way up until today.
No.
What?
No, nothing.
Okay.
During all our presentation, what's up?
I think you got the wrong screen here.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, this is it.
No. Oh, okay. It's the. I'm just
You
seeing.
want to
what's
hide
happening.
your WhatsApp.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got it.
You turn your.
And
Those
your
are the
Spotify.
notes.
Yeah. There we go. Can you still see it? No. Wait,
We're just looking at the desktop and your contacts now.
Hold on. Why isn't this not working?
281-330. Yeah, Allison, we see you. It's all right.
Preview. How about now?
There you
Yeah.
go.
Perfect.
Beautiful. All right. Well, you read the whole presentation already. All right.
Our
So
presentation
let's
is
go.
going to be brief.
Yes, ours is. I think we have a history of that. We're in keeping with our tradition of brief presentations here. So here we go. So when it comes to why you're skipping the gym today, there are reasons and there are excuses. But we're not here to convince you to work out. We want to help you achieve your fitness goals. Because of the roles and expectations of women in today's world, they have a tendency of putting other people's needs and feelings before their own,
especially when it comes to family and friends. 65% of women avoid going to the gym because it causes them anxiety. So how can we reduce that anxiety and change their lifestyle, right? It's by understanding them and their emotions.
Yeah, one day I feel like a superwoman, but others I feel like a simple woman. So next, one day I want high impact exercise, other days I want low impact exercise. It depends on our emotion, but the goal is to never stop moving. So the insight we found is the key to healthy living is to make fitness a consistent part of your life. So we need to treat it like we are listening to our emotions. Sometimes they are positive and we want to raise our heart rate with a boxing class, for example. And other times they are negative. And we want to relax and meditate. Next. Okay.
I'll go.
Yeah.
So the mirror gives women the power to control the intensity of their workout according to their emotions because it adapts to the flow of their daily lives and desires. It offers them a variety of exercise that they can do at home on their own terms. Next slide. Yeah. So the mirror knows that exercise can transform anyone's life, but each woman is special and should be treated as unique. So including her emotions and the way that she exercises. The mirror empowers women to take control of their fitness on a physical and emotional level. The mirror has the power to transform emotions into energy.
That's the concept. Thanks.
And we're done.
Yeah. Was very
Art direction by me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys. It was very beautiful.
Guys, that was really, you took it a long way. And you know what? As you were talking through it too, I realized, there's a lot of analysis to this idea of turning emotions into energy, and so many companies fall flat with that concept, right? But a few that do it well, I mean, if you look around fitness, for example, Adidas in 2016 with their Boost technology, right? The whole idea is responsiveness, right? You strike the ground with your sneaker, it gives you 30% boost. The new Nike Pegasus, right? Kipchoge broke the 2-hour marathon. How do you do it? Carbon fiber plate in the shoe. What's the biggest selling point? Responsiveness, taking X and translating into Y. And I think in an age, especially post-COVID reality, where people are all talking about translate emotional promise and brand promise into brand performance, specifically that, I think this is a great way of showcasing, your specific target audience, what you're aiming to communicate with them, and then just getting to the cusp of all the different executions that honestly I can already populate in my mind on how you're going to actually espouse turning that energy and that angst into some kind of positive momentum. So I think that's really well done. Obviously, it took this group a little bit of time to get to that problem to solve, but I think you got there. And the important thing now is to remember, a lot of this, what makes new business pitches great is the storytelling aspects, right? Like this is the one time you get to throw crazy ideas out there. So right now what you have is a borderline risky thing that you're doing, which is focusing only on one audience, which is women. But if you're going to choose that audience, I'm never going to penalize a brand for going after too narrow of a demographic, because before you can be everything to everyone, you have to be something to someone, right? So you have to pick your lane, you have to nail it and expand from there. And one of the biggest proof points of that methodology is, why are there so many direct-to-consumer brands right now, especially in healthcare? There are so many gaps in healthcare that aren't being met by the traditional big box retailers, the big CPG brands, pharmaceutical brands, health insurance brands, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So DTC brands are picking away one fissure and giant concrete wall at a time. And before you know, the floodgates are going to break, right? So I think you're right on the cusp of doing a lot of great work. and I could feel the momentum. If you wanted to keep carrying this forward, I would be happy to help you guys take it there. But I think for right now, with just the strategic positioning, I think you guys did a really good job of proving to us, you know, why you have a creative concept, where it's going to be headed, and how you even got to the idea in the first place. I think the research was strong for sure. So very, very cool. Trav, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, I was going to say similar things. And I think the challenge always lies, like, to your points about figuring out what the actual problem is and kind of like when you land on it. Like, I think a lot of times it's really hard to really focus. And I think because sometimes, like, you see it one group, it's like, hey, they have these 5 ideas, but then it's kind of hard to kind of position yourself. And then when you're thinking like this, it's like, okay, well, if I can't do, you know, all of these things, or we took a little bit longer to land somewhere, maybe let's really lean into, like, let's impact 100 women, right? Like, if you get it really, really narrow, to Eric's point, one of the biggest misses for any agency, especially right now, and this has been the thing for years, differentiating your message to different audiences has been the biggest mistake, right? Like, I'll even say this from my experiences, like working with Balance Bar or working with Truly Radiant, like all these like consumer focused brands that people use every day. They say the same thing in every single ad, literally. And they might change out a face or two, but being able to really hone in on that differentiated message, that one specific woman who's a nurse and she's 32 years old and has 1 kid and a dog, like getting that specific and solving that problem for her, and then positioning, you know, Mirror and Lululemon as the thing that's going to help her, you know, stay balanced while being a parent and also managing her shift at the hospital and then also managing her dog, right? Like, that's where I think your group would be uniquely positioned to go in. And to Eric's point, I think if you were to decide to keep going with something like this, it's like, maybe think about, like, all right, like, what's an example of a campaign that we can run? Like, instead of thinking of this wide net of like, what's this big idea? It's like, what's a campaign that might increase the retention of their most at-risk users, right? Like, if you get creative about how you can really help and how you can position yourselves as to be this, you know, very narrow focused, insight driven, you know, specific persona, problem solvers, I think it could be a good look for y'all as you try to, like, if you want to take it further. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Spot on, spot on. Anyone else want to add a few comments?
I just really like the line of what was it? Change emotions into energy. Right, that's what it was. Yeah.
Transform emotion into energy.
Yeah, I think it was really well because of the fact that earlier you spoke on how if you're feeling down, you'll take like a more chill class, right? And if you're feeling higher up, you'll take a higher impact class. Yeah, I really like that a lot. I think that was my favorite.
That's going to help you to create this like a sustainable habit to do exercise, for example. And I think it's important because any brand is talking about that. Any brand is talking about the importance to create an habit, and we want to Lululemon position in that way.
I think that's brilliant too. And also, just one thing to add on that, it's like, the more you can relate and create new things that people can like latch onto, like to your point, Monique, about like getting a habit or creating something that people can latch onto, I think that's really important, especially when you try to, like you said, like creating new habits and getting people to realize that, hey, like if you're feeling shitty, you can still work out and it's actually going to be able to fuel you versus being depressed. So I think that's a really unique positioning.
Yeah.
If you
That in itself as an insight, this idea that working out for a lot of people is like when I feel like working out, you know, and kind of helping redefine what feeling like working out is. Nike does this really well with a couple campaigns of like the people waking up stupid early to go running and that type of stuff, right? I'll add a quick point to the presentation thing, right? Because I don't know the history of the groups, which is actually a nice first time for me. It's an interesting way to see the presentations develop that way. I've seen pitches win both ways, right? The ones that figured out the idea on the first day and worked for 5 to like really get the presentation solid. And I've seen pitches that come together half an hour before they walk into the room, right? So
that was us.
Yeah, either way, you know, you got to the idea, which is great about that. Brendan mentioned something about influencers, and you guys brought up, and I think the previous group brought up micro influencers. I think the most important thing we can learn about influencers, YouTubers, that type of stuff is the hyper focus of interest groups and demographic, right? You have YouTubers that make a ton of subscribers and money on a very, very narrow focus. And brands continue to look at how people are consuming media or new media now, and they get so confused with like, well, how the hell does that YouTuber have 10 million subscribers? I didn't even know 10 million people cared about unboxing technology, right? Like if you think of someone like Unbox Therapy or something like that. And then they go off to develop their own campaigns and they still get it wrong. They're like, I have to satisfy every woman from the age of 18 to 55, you know? And it's like, well, okay, that's not gonna work for anybody, right? One point that I'll make that I noticed in the presentation, I think it's something to continue teasing out. You guys have a really powerful stat about the anxiety around working out, right? 65% of women don't go work out because they're anxious or something along those lines. I'd love to see that connect a little bit more to this idea of emotion and energy, right? Because there is still a little bit of disconnect strategically between the two. And I think that could really help tie that story really powerfully, right? And it's to Eric's point on the last presentation, it might be 1 or 2 slides that talks about, you know, it connects anxiety to emotion, and then emotion as a driver to working out, and then that becoming the energy that you output in the workout. Like just looking at it at that formula might really help sell that idea and kind of give you that wow moment when you get to emotion and energy.
Yeah, wow, that's 100% right. That's 100% right. And one thing that I think I missed that, you know, and it's a very, very good catch. There's so many ways that you could tie anxiety to emotion, and also the idea of fitness being of relief, right? Like we always think of running, and we'll take running as an example, right? Like the first thing we think about when we think about running is probably one of the things we think about, I should say, Nike trying to break the 2-hour marathon, right? But that's not running, right? Like that is that one dude over there who is so much better than the rest of us going off and making a name for himself, and then Nike gives him a shitload of money because guess what? He's literally the best in the world. But for the rest of us, running is typically like, what do we associate, right? Stress relief. You have a long day of work, or maybe it was terrible outside, but now it's sunny. It's this shift from bad to good, right? Like you feel bad because of XYZ reasons. You run, you feel a little bit better. That incremental energy change, shift, and transformation is really what you're trying to capture here. And at the core of that transformation is this one product you're trying to sell for the specific audience. So then my question back to you, to exactly to Willie's point, is what are the tensions that would cause this specific subset of women to go through their day and say, fuck, I really need this mirror to help me feel better. And it's not a drug, right? This is something that's objectively good for them. So you're taking this objectively good thing, and now you have to like kind of reverse engineer your way into potential shitty situations that this specific audience can definitely relate to. So, you know, if it's moms in suburbs and they're like in their early 40s and they're still very active, but they got like 2 children to take care of, and they're like, oh my God, I just need to put them over here, spend 20 minutes doing some yoga, right? Like that is just one example, but start building those archetypes. And that's why for group 3, actually, group that just went, you know, early on, I was like, give me some kind of user profile. And I say user profile because I need to see what are the qualifiers to this specific segment, right? Like where do they live? What is their age? What is their gender? What do they do? How much money do they earn? Where do they spend their free time? Do they watch movies? Do they watch shows? Do they follow certain ambassadors or influencers, right? All of these qualifiers will help inform how to more specifically segment and customize your messaging as a brand. And beyond messaging, the product features you build, the services that you design, right? So there's a whole host of things that you can do when you uncover specific insights. So I think the next step to me, it seems, yeah, it's spot on. It's specificity. And really thinking through, you know, connecting the dots between translating emotion into energy, and then of course, you know, that piece of anxiety that's really driving them from embarking on this mirror journey. Anyway, anyone else want to add some comments?
I have one comment, and I think it's more of a watch out, and maybe it might be more of a personal opinion, but I think when you're targeting women and you're going so strongly on that target and using the word emotion and emotional within this target, with everything that's happening right now and the disparities and the gaps between like men and women and all of that, like I would definitely change the word to something like mood, to change your mood. And because that could be something that can be for like it doesn't tie to emotional or a woman being emotional, you know what I mean?
We were between like to write mood or emotion. We were like, oh my god.
No, my only watch out, because I feel like if you guys had men and women, then it wouldn't be an issue at all. But I feel like because your target is so focused on women, and we know all the social conversations that are happening right now and everything that has happened in the past 6 months, like 6 months to a year, and all the conversation out there, that it's like, to use that word, the last thing you wanted it to be a backlash, you know, like you don't want people talking about it. So I feel like using the word mood or just expanding your target to men and women, and that would fix that.
Thank you.
That's a great point.
100%. All right, I think it's time for group one. Last but not least, let's see it.
Hey guys, let me just share the screen if I can do that. Yes, I can. Everybody can see the screen, okay?
Yep.
Okay. So this is 5 weeks to win with group one. I'm Pablo, and the group consists of myself, Michael, Brandon, and CJ the Magician. And so what's going on here today? Well, not today, but today we're here to present that Lululemon has joined forces with Mirror. Lululemon is the apparel company. Mirror is this immersive fitness vessel for content item that we want to put in your house, right? And why was this such a good match between the two companies? So what we discovered was that at their core, both of the companies very much so reflect each other's values, right? Lululemon has this community and this lifestyle entitled Sweat Life, where what they are doing is that they want you to sweat, to look good, going to the gym, in the gym, and leaving the gym. And now with the acquisition of Mirror, what they're doing is they're literally providing you with a way to sweat through using Mirror. And so the values between the two companies, they both seek to empower the individual. They're both community oriented, very highly innovative and data driven, personalized to users' needs, and very much so in personalization, in that Lululemon literally had a whole like company that was just bringing out data and creating data and seeking out data as to how their specific clothes would fall on you as you walk down the street. And both of them want to highly impact the user's life. So their business goals align perfectly to create this global disruption. And this global disruption is personalization. All of these companies that we have on the screen here, it's all about personalization. Netflix, you put on what do you want to watch, literally down to what type of specific categories, Uber, Airbnb. It's personalization, personalization, personalization. CJ.
It's actually Michael.
Sorry, Mike.
No doubt, no doubt. So we can't understand the disruption without understanding the data and the qualifiers. Back to what Eric was saying. So Lululemon is trying to conquer the world through an ambitious expansion plan focused around digital content. They're doing this by maintaining the growth of women in the women's category, but also doubling sales in the men's category. In addition to that, they're also looking at quadrupling international sales and its brand influence globally. To that note, we're also looking at, in regards to e-commerce, the plan is to double in North American sales, but as well as reach globally 50% specifically in Asia Pac, which owns the largest fitness expense in the world. Next, Pablo. So the idea around Mirror is that it's much more than fitness. It's the omni guest experience. And so with this ambitious plan focused around digital, the CEOs of Mirror wants the Mirror to be a vessel of content, hence why we focused on content. The plan is to go ahead and sell fashion, sell lifestyle, essentially encompassing the sweat life. Mirror essentially wants to be the third screen in every home, directly quoted from the CEO. You can move on, Pablo. So with that sweat life, we're focused on sweat lifers. These are a demographic that Lululemon has, which is shared by both Mirror and as well as Lululemon. From our research, we found out that 50% of Mirror customers overlap with Lululemon customers. So we feel that there's a nexus between both demographics to create the omni guest experience. Regards to demographics, we're looking at individuals who are targeted to 18 to 65-year-olds, but primarily our focus is on millennials, because that's where the target audience is at. With millennials, they're focused on a healthy lifestyle, passion for fitness, and as well as technology. Income levels, obviously, because Lululemon is a higher echelon brand, as well as Mirror is being approximately $1,500, which is quite expensive. The income levels range from $90,000 to $250,000. You can move on, Pablo. I think it's Brandon next.
Yes. So, we've obviously done a ton of research, as you guys all know from day one. And, what we decided to do is really just put together more insights here. We've noticed that online courses and live stream classes are really just growing exponentially, right? People are kind of looking at different ways that they can, work out, and more importantly, how and when. Fitness brands are focusing on providing this integrated guest experience across all channels and multiple experiences. And in the industry, there's obviously a lot of new tech that companies using, like wearables, like all of this info that gives us more data than we've ever had before. Next slide. And that leads to, of course, that personalization that we're talking about. And what we've noticed is that, of course, the pandemic has interrupted everybody's lives and routines. And because of that, this is causing more people to find these creative ways to work out. And what these type of devices like Mirror have done is that they've allowed them to actually start taking classes and experimenting in things that they've never done before. And many more people are trying more apps as well than ever before. Next slide. And ultimately, what we obviously notice about our target is that millennials are obsessed with their health and overall well-being. I mean, case in point, from 2008 to 2018, gym memberships have grown exponentially by 37%. Of course, numbers have changed, I'm sure, because of COVID. People ultimately have been taking control of their diet, and they're more concerned about what they put in their body. And they have a newfound appreciation for meditation and mindfulness due to the health benefits. Is this still me? Sorry. I thought this was CJ.
I can jump in. So the real question is, after realizing the behavior of the target and the actual situation culturally and socially, is that how do we get sweat lifers around the world, globally, to adopt this Mirror device as their main source of fitness, right? So next slide. We feel that leveraging the power of content, convenience, and personalization is how we can empower the individual to build their true reflection, how they want to live life, who they really are, not conditioned by their present moment. And we're giving them all the tools, and it would be our job to communicate that. So next slide. We would have to get in a homework format here, we would have to get this specific target. So fitness and well-being enthusiasts, it doesn't really only stay in millennials, but it's a majority that see life as something that that it's a journey and it's a self-improvement journey. And that's part of their fun, to adopt the sweat life, because they can adopt any other smart device, but Mirror with Lululemon, you're getting the device with the philosophy and the lifestyle. You're also getting the clout, but getting that into your house and then leveraging the power of content, convenience, personalization to empower the individual to reflect in the mirror, the life that they want, right? Next slide. So how to do that really quick in one slide tactics. It's span context. So expand the content offer, current content offer to 3 pillars. So fitness, nutrition as well, and wellness. Add personal counseling on these categories, obviously at a premium fee, and expand greatly the brand ambassador community and the B2B partnerships, so we can generate better content and better content offer. It's not enough to just do fitness. We need to make it engaging and immersive, because that's what the mirror is. So we also want to push convenience and communication, privacy, social aspects of the device, while really capitalizing on that you are part of this Lululemon clout, right? And highlight the personalization that we really want to highlight as fun, engaging, immersive, interactive. You have full control of your experience with this device. Next slide, please. And in a homework format, we wanted to reiterate those insights and how we got to the landing message. So if we have a culture that is pivoting towards home fitness as a more acceptable way to work out, and we have a target group that's very conscious of what they eat and what they look like and the type of workout even that they do, not just working out. And we have a company that's disruptive technologically and one that's disruptive philosophically. Then we have that the fitness industry in general is creating innovative ways to communicate with their consumers, to engage their consumers, and to give them the control. We must do the same. So in that sense, we want Mirror to empower the individual to build their true reflection. In a more condensed way, next slide. Mirror, reflect yourself. That's it.
Very nice. I know you guys were, literally up until the last second trying to pick a direction. Yeah.
Yeah, we were late, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's come a long way in the last 4 weeks, obviously, right? And I think what was unique is on week 1, you guys seem to have literally the most research done. Like, you guys had everything under the sun. You figured out just a plethora of information. So taking a bolus of information and then whittling it down into strategic insights and then the creative positioning, brand positioning, et cetera. It's really hard, right? It was almost like, you kept saying analysis paralysis. I agree, right? Like it's you could pick so many lanes. How do you actually choose one? I think the one that you landed with, which is, it sounds very similar to group 3. But I think the way that you guys went about it is very different, right? I think the problem that you're solving for is different, but the solution is positioned the same way. So one thing that I think is interesting is, typically when we use like the 4 C's, for example, or the get to buy model, that happens way at the beginning of a presentation. So to use that at the end and sort of prove your concept, it felt like a strategic sandwich, which, I've personally never seen that done, but in this case, I'm actually not opposed to it, because I do think it speaks to one of the core tenets of any deck, right? Which is, this is what I'm about to tell you, and I'm telling you, and this is what I just told you. So it does follow that kind of frame of mind, which is pretty cool. One thing that I want to call out, which is pretty nitpicky, but it's something that we touch on a few times tonight, which is when you label your audience as 18 to 65, that's an impossible range, right? Like 18 to 65 is basically everybody that would buy a mirror, period. You pass the 65 mark, there's some people that are really active, okay? But the market post 65 is kind of and people 18 and under, I'm sorry, but it's like iPhones, like just you shouldn't have one. Like your parents should have known better. You shouldn't be getting that kind of stuff, right? But barring those extreme circumstances, I think the next step taking this deck is really fine-tuning who exactly is your audience. Because I think what I saw there, like even in the upfront, and to lose a client that early would be such a shame when you have a strong creative positioning at the end, right? So from the get-go is really think about, you know, if we're talking, and you guys touched on this early on, right, which is the expansion that Lululemon wants to do, which is abroad, right, not just domestically. And then the second part is, how does Mirror get a new user base, right? If we know Mirror and Lululemon overlap 50% of the same customers, then obviously the growth acquisition strategy here is, A, how do we get the 50% that are already converted on both sides to jump ship, right? So the 50% that's a Lululemon fan, but not yet a Mirror fan, how do we get them over to Mirror? And then the 50% that's Mirror fans that aren't wearing Lululemon yet, how do we get over there? Those two are probably pretty nuanced segments that I would encourage you guys to think through is how are they different, right? What does it mean to currently own Mirror but not use Lululemon? That's weird to me, right? Because Lululemon is the apparel that matches what Mirror is in the fitness world. If you're rich enough to own a Mirror, chances are you're also rich enough to buy beyond a Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Reebok, right? Because Lululemon is a completely different price point. And the ladies in the room can definitely attest. I mean, you're not spending $100 per pair of leggings when you go to Nike, right? Like you could find something from $50 to $80. Or maybe not Nike, but definitely Adidas. I know that for a fact, right? So I think it's, again, you could pull apart your audiences like that, similar to the way that it was built in the Adidas pitch, which is you have video gamers that play soccer, and then you have football. You have football players that also play video games. So how are those audiences different and where do they intersect? That intersection is probably the sweet spot with where you want to hammer them over the head with content and any kind of activation. So I think for you guys, the big takeaway is specificity and building a narrative that only speaks to that core audience first. And then the creative execution will come naturally and the insight will reveal itself to be spot on. Okay, so I'll stop talking. Trav, do you want to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, pretty similar thoughts around what you mentioned. And like the other thing too is like you guys definitely, you know, put it together, and I loved where you landed about the mirror reflecting yourself kind of at the end. And I think one of the key things that I did also like that you pointed out was you had a touch on it, and I didn't see many people kind of go this route because obviously this is a consumer focused brand. But I really did love when you did mention about B2B partnerships. And just like one thing specifically that happened recently, like a buddy of mine, someone made a prospecting video and they did a cameo with Lupe Fiasco to thank him for being awesome and putting out great content. So like just plugging that like B2B play of like, oh, could you imagine if you had someone's favorite artist and you gave them an opportunity to like be in front of them, right? Like imagine Lupe Fiasco being like, yo, this was so great. Like working out with you was dope. And that was like your favorite artist, right? Like just bringing that feel or like into the B2B world, I think could be super interesting, especially with any group here. Because again, like these are consumers, right? And more specifically, when you're talking like B2B, where I'm from, you're talking salespeople and sales and marketing people, right? And people that are trying to get this competitive edge and people that are trying to get that step up on their competition. And so when you're talking to a specific demographic, like salespeople are always a great one to, you know, kind of look at. And it's like, well, what sorts of ways can we, you know, serve, you know, the business community, and how can we potentially position this as something that can be used in a business setting to help decrease stress from leadership, right? Like what if, you know what I mean? So just like thinking about the B2B aspect, I really love that you guys at least touched on it, at least more so than any other group did. What else in here? I did like the, you know, content convenience and personalization. I think like the one piece that I'm struggling to kind of land on accepting is the like content play. Cause I almost sit on the opposite end of the spectrum from like the sales side of the house of like content's great. And this is going to sound harsh, but I'm like, if you make the best freaking workout video and you get Trav excited to work out, like Trav still has to work out.
Yeah.
Just 'cause content's fire doesn't mean Trav's going to show up to the mirror and start doing push-ups, right? And so one thing I try to get every group to think about as we kind of walk away from this is, all right, content's great. And yes, the CEO of Mirror is like, we want to make this a vessel for content. And I'm like, I appreciate you. I hear you, understand you, but that still ain't getting me to work out, right? So I would also implore you all to think about how to really build this into someone's day that's not just content, right? Like, how do we make this content something that, like, for example, like if you did something where you taught me how to like stretch my hamstring in a way that me as a football player my whole life have never learned how to stretch. If you like teach me how to do some bar stretching and it opens up my hips, you will have a winner for life in me personally.
Well, Travis, that's what we mean with content. I mean, it's not just, I mean, the Mirror is an interactive, immersive experience device as opposed to TV. And we actually took that out of the deck. We had it and it was too long.
Stay doing that. Y'all take out the fire stuff and then.
Yeah. Like mobile is informational and then TV is passive. So it's entertaining content, but it's immersive and interactive, right? The why we wanted to touch on B2B and really expand the ambassador community is so it's not just fitness videos. So we go way beyond that, and we can keep you accountable and even add counseling in there, because self-realization is way tied to your self-image, and self-image is then tied to self-worth, right? So in order for you to accomplish that life that you want to live, you need to go through these steps, and we all don't. We find other things that distract us from this perfect life that we have in our heads, right?
Well,
it's more than entertainment content is what I meant by all that. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it was true that we were debating back and forth on how out there we wanted to go, I think, with the content. So we kind of just left it as content because we were, I mean, we were talking originally like telehealth and rehabilitation therapy, and then we kind of narrowed it down to focusing on fitness. But we were also discussing like, well, you can offer dance classes, like you can offer Zumba classes. Like we kept trying to say, like, how do you get the people that work, like how do you get the people that go to the gym to work out to actually work out in the house? And then how do you get the people that are in the house working out already to use this machine to work out? So we were thinking,
these are not
like,
easy questions, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there for y'all.
No,
these are not easy questions to be.
5 weeks later, no, there wasn't. So that's what we were thinking with the content. Like we just didn't know exactly how detailed to go with it.
Yeah, no, I think that's super valid point. And I mean, again, this is just us trying to get the most and push you as far as we can within a matter of a 5-week period.
Appreciate it, man.
Take that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, take that with the grain.
My brain hurts like every morning.
I do. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm
to the
definitely
creative life.
I think like again, I think like the more important, like the big takeaway is like, how do we create the most valuable content that'll get people to move and take action, right? Like that is what we ultimately want to have happen. And so, I think those are my biggest pieces of feedback. I'm trying to see any other things I wrote down here. I did like the sweat. I just like Sweat Lifers in general. Like I just like that as like, I just like that in general. Cause like when I hear Sweat Lifer, it's almost like I know what that means. I'm like, oh, you're about that sweat life. Like it's something that I can just like connect to in general. So for that,
there's an interesting opportunity with that Sweat Life thing that it'd be interesting to see, not to like completely pivot the idea, but one thing that it left me thinking about was, in these times now, right? If we're going to identify Sweat Lifers as a audience, to Eric's original point about what do those audiences do, you know, if you're defining Sweat Lifer, the closest thing that comes to mind is the person that goes to CrossFit 4 times a week, right? Who doesn't have that opportunity right now anymore. Right. And if you're really going after this kind of Sweat Lifer, how do you bring that person in to their house? Right. How do you identify the reasons why they pick CrossFit to something else? Because you even look at the product features of something like Mirror, you know, it's not a Peloton or a treadmill type of thing. These are usually kind of high intensity workouts or Pilates or that type of stuff. Like, it's a very different type of in-home workout than the popular in-home workout items now, which are essentially the Pelotons of the world, right? Which is cardio, right? So the non-cardio workout crowd is usually going to something more like a CrossFit, and they get something out of that, right? There's a huge, Reebok rebuilt their brand around the fact that there's a community there that was identified, right?
It's more about the community than the workout at that point, right?
Right, but the community, right? Again, the community is there because it gives the individual something, right? So that community is pushing that individual to see something in themselves that they didn't see before, right? Which ties into the concept that you guys are starting to put together about that self-reflection. So it'd be interesting to see with this narrowing of the audience if there's a further insight there. And the last point is on the content thing that Travis mentioned, because I tend to agree with Travis of too many people say content for content's sake, and it's a huge red flag in the creative process for me, where I say, if content is your idea, there's no idea there yet. With content, it is infinitely more important what you stand for and what you're going to say than it is the fact that you're going to put out content, right? It's table stakes at this point. So again, I think there's a convergence there between the specificity of the audience and then what you're going to tell that audience that might help answer those questions around content that you guys are talking about like, well, what do we say, right? Overall, 3 really great ideas, guys, by the way, as a class. Like, coming into this cold and seeing this, I'm incredibly impressed with what you guys have come up with in 5 weeks.
Zumba at home.
There you go.
That's what I heard. Pablo wanted us to say Zumba classes and salsa dancing for some reason.
I don't do either. I don't do any Zumba classes, by the way. So.
But the thing about it is that we came up with the concept that the fact that people have that fear to do Zumba out in the open,
right,
and to dance out in the open, at least at the comfort of at the house, you could do it with your wife, you could do it with your kids, and it's in your it's in a personalized space,
right?
So
right.
It even brings
and you
me
can
to
flip
that
it.
CrossFit point. Yeah, like how do you do the CrossFit experience at home? Like, Mirror, out of all the products, is probably the one that is most differentiated to create a new style of CrossFit experience. And I'm using CrossFit as just one example, but Pilates or whatever, right? Like, you're not going to do CrossFit on your Peloton. You're just not.
Yeah,
right?
you can't.
So is there something there? But that's a great point, Michael.
Yeah, and also one thing to add too that I never thought of, but I kind of alluded to this as being like y'all can tell I used to be a gym rat / live that life in a way. So
really.
But like, for me, like, one thing that Eric pointed out that I found super interesting that I think is a really great place for people to operate is thinking about this idea of or maybe it was actually Willie, but the non-gym going people and how to get them into working out, and like completely figuring out how to get somebody who never has gone to the gym to purchase this. And like, to be honest, I don't know if that's actually even a solvable thing. Right? Like, I don't know if that actually should be solved, right? And if you scrap that and think about the people that did go to the gym, right? Like, if you were to get me at my 22-year-old football self and be like, yo, Trav, like, you can't squat 500 pounds in this mirror, but what you can do is increase that flexibility. And I'm like, yeah, but like, why can't I just watch a YouTube video? Right? And so like, you have to create some sort of new experience that you can only do with that mirror, right? Like, it's the same thing about the sidekick effect. Everybody remember sidekicks, the phones, right? Like, how freaking cool was it when one of your friends put up and just flip that thing open?
Yeah.
And you couldn't do that with your little broke ass flip phone. Like, you just felt like I suck, right? But it's that same effect of what can you create with the mirror, right? Because again, you're creating this whole new world, like, it's still unwritten. So if you're creating a new experience that people can only get from the mirror experience, that's what people want, right? So it's very difficult. Again, this wasn't meant to be easy by any means. Like, when Eric and I set out to kind of help create the curriculum for like what we were going to do here, like, we definitely were trying to figure out like, all right, like, what can we do to push y'all the furthest in this short amount of time. And like, this is obviously where we landed up.
No, we realistically were like, what's going to be the biggest headache?
Can I just say that?
Success.
Can I just say that honestly, though, that just speaking outside of the class and just speaking about Mirror in general, I mean, Mirror specifically, I really feel that they would be very much more successful if they went more towards, I guess, companies and industries as opposed to coming into your home. I really think that the idea of having this in facilities and in hospitals and in even, like we said earlier, like real estate offices that you can go and look at the home that you're considering buying, or imagine like if you have this office in New York and you're looking at this and you're going through it of, you know, where am I going to buy in Dominican Republic, and you go through and you scroll through everything there. Like, I just think that they're kind of limiting their potential, even though you kind of like jumped on us for saying that, but I still think that they're like limiting their potential as to what they could do with the actual device. I think there's so much more that they just haven't seen yet, you know?
I think you're right. I mean, that gut check sounds correct. My pushback is always like, listen, they got to start somewhere, right? And Mirror is, like, by all intents and purposes, still a startup. They just got acquired, and they just got $500 million
Oh,
for the acquisition.
Fun fact for like Albert, everyone remember Albert that came in with us? When him and I were like talking about this, like literally months before this, we were going through ideas. And then when we saw that Mirror got bought by Lululemon, we legitimately were like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like that was our literal actual response. We were like, we don't know what they saw. We don't like literally, this is someone that's literally was building a product behind the scenes to potentially compete with that, right? And so again, this was something that's big in the market. It caused a lot of splash and a lot of noise, but even myself, as I sit here right now, I'm having a hard time justifying a $500 million purchase. So,
and then from the consumer level too, like a $4,500 mirror to me doesn't translate to an object that then goes and becomes a ubiquitous piece of technology in fitting rooms in retail stores, or mirrors in a hospital situation, or even in a doctor's office, right? This very much is positioned as a luxury, premium luxury fitness and wellness good. It's not something that the mass audiences need, which is also, you know, ties back to this idea of specificity when it comes to marketing, because $4,500 for anything, right, is expensive. Maybe not a car, but short of that, right? So that's one response I have to you. But the second thing is, if we were to go down that path that you're talking about, I do think it is worthy for Lululemon and Mirror to think about that as a PR push. So if we work with One Medical and across 85 locations, we'll install this mirror, because we know people who subscribe to One Medical are probably urban dwellers. They're probably high middle income, right? They pay a lot of taxes, so they want the best experience when they step into a public good. And having that kind of premium object in that location tied to health, wellness, fitness, nutrition, probably a good brand affiliate driver. But outside of special cases, I don't know. I hope you're right, because I do think the technology lends itself to do a lot of good. But as it stands right now, the intersection of Lulu and Mirror as brands, again, capitalist system, right, as brands, I don't know that that's the avenue that they should be going down.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just like a story play, right? Like for all we know, like behind the scenes, like they could have just been getting to that point and they just literally need funding to just keep going. Like again, just from the understanding the logistics of it, it's a technology company. They have to manufacture like an actual device that typically happens in other countries, which we all know is very difficult right now. And so, yeah, maybe they legit were like, yeah, no, we won't even be able to hit our, you know, Q4 goals of 2022 unless we get 500 million to keep going with production, right? Like we don't really know. And like, this is just one of those fun things that we'll have to find out. But yeah, no,
there's always the flip side of that too. There's always the flip side of that too, which is, you know, Lululemon could have easily been saying, well, that's a $500 million budget for R&D for a technology product in the future that we don't have, right? So, you know, a lot of times those acquisitions are, the core product itself is just a proof of concept that it's a group of people that can engineer something like that. Lululemon might be thinking 2-3 products down the line when they want to get much heavier into the community fitness side of things, which they don't have, right? So, you know, who knows? Mirror might be you know, a year, 2 year roadmap with something much bigger behind the scenes with Lululemon money.
Exactly.
So,
And
I was going to say, guys, so from our research, we actually, you know, Lululemon did say that Mirror was an investment for the future, and that the break even was going to be in the next 2 years. Also, looking at the fact that Mirror had last year $45 million in sales. This year, they were projected to do 100 million in sales. So there was some due diligence that was done with the Mirror. And then also they're looking to be able to sell their products and clothes to individuals in their homes. So it's 1-for-1 because you're getting a target audience that has the affordability to buy the Mirror, right? So you hit your target, and then you're also hitting them, you know, outside of your store. So I think it's a really brilliant concept or brilliant idea to for them to make that.
Those are really interesting research points. I didn't know that. Frankly, the sales numbers surprised the hell out of me that they're hitting that number of sales. But that's
Another
great.
thing,
Cool.
when I was doing the social listening, I saw they have some problems with sending the Mirror to the buyers. They have the 2 months wait line, 3 months, so they seem like they don't have enough to take to the buyers right now, so they needed that.
I think it's overall though, because like Peloton has the same thing. They're having trouble fulfilling like anything fitness. I mean, you can't even get weights delivered. It's. I think it's also because of the trend right now. What's happening now? People are at home trying to
working from home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a
one more
good
thing.
problem to have. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
The first investment for Lululemon was actually in October of last year, so they obviously know a lot more financially that we don't.
Yeah. And we went over this in the last class, right? Like, think about every single major disruption across industries, right? In transportation, it's Uber. What's so special about Uber? They own no cars, right? What's the biggest disruptor in travel? Probably Airbnb. What's special about Airbnb? They own no real estate, right? WeWork, they don't own offices, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what we're seeing is a shift from product first to service design, right? Like the service is what really wraps and communicates the fundamentals of what makes a brand promise and delivers it to the customer. And what's true across all these disruptive brands, Airbnb, Netflix, Uber, and we can see this in their trajectory and growth, is that they solve fundamental problems, right? They believe in the fundamental rules of service design, which is don't ask users for what features they want to see, ask them about their problems. If you ask them about their problems, that probably informs how the company's going to evolve over time. How does this tie back to Mirror? Mirror, honestly, are already invested an entire company's worth of staff to solving for the people that don't want to go to gyms, or in COVID, they can't go to gyms, right? So it's kind of like this future-proof idea. But the problem to solve for Lululemon, to your point, Willie, I didn't think of that. That's brilliant. I mean, if it's the case that, you know, it probably costs a whole lot more than 500 million to develop this entire company's worth of technology, right? So then to buy it is sort of exactly what some of the biggest companies in the world. So for my domain, for example, when I talk to my clients in pharmaceuticals, we're never going to develop our own drug. It's not going to happen, right? We don't develop shit. We go and buy drugs, and then we'll mark up the price like 10x, 12. That's what's broken about pharmaceuticals today. But really, that's how the model works, is we scour the industry for the newest class of drug in any given indication or disease state. Then we'll buy the technology, we'll buy the treatment, relabel it, and then push out in mass, because we have the logistics and they have the innovation. So we can pay for the innovation. We could just afford to buy it upright. But another way of looking at it is, what Mirror really provides at the end of the day is that third screen. It's not the product, it's just being able to get in front of your audience over and over. So if you look at it as, I'm investing $500 million into this software, technology, and retail touch point, and in exchange, it's not just the existing customers, it's also all the customers that I'm going to get henceforth. So you can look at it as not spending $500 million on R&D, but saving $40-50 million a year on marketing and advertising that you would have had to buy media for, right? Now you don't have to buy media because you're inside of your consumer's home. That's insane, right? Like that's Amazon Echo, for example.
Yeah. I mean, if there's $45 million worth of mirrors in people's homes with disposable income, obviously, and you're able to put literally an aspirational image in front of them for 90 minutes a day with your brand, that's impressions that you can't pay enough for, right? Like it's insane. Yeah.
It's like a billboard in the house, you know, like
Yep.
you buy my billboard and you have
Absolutely.
a billboard of my company in your living room. Like,
You're not lying. I had an idea with a friend. We never actually launched it, but we were gonna do like
another idea that you
yard
missed out?
sign. No, seriously, out of home yard signs, but like do them in like screen versions for people who were impacted of some level. And it's like, yo, like you want to make money? Like you live in a neighborhood that buys a lot of Tide freaking paper towels, or excuse me, Tide detergent or Bounty paper towels, and like being able to monetize your front lawn was a joke that we threw around. So it's not too far off from what you were saying.
Love it.
I think all these things are super ideas. I'd love to, I know at some point, whether it be like just like, hey, everyone, let's get together, because I know there are a lot of ideas that everyone has that haven't been shared. So I'd just be like curious just to like have just an open conversation at some point in the future. Kind of like after the, you know how they do those like reunions from like the TV shows where you like bring the class back and be like, what one thing do you wish you would have done differently when you first started this? Like,
oh my goodness.
What?
But you bring up a good point. You bring up a good point in the interest of time, because I know we're significantly over.
It's the last class.
It is the last class. And one thing I wanted to really get through is, you know, I'll speak for myself. I don't know about Trav. I used to do a lot of university lectures, but one of the worst parts of lecturing at universities, you know, back when we had those, is, you know, you come in and you give a talk once and then you leave and you never see the people again. You never hear from them again. So you have actually no idea what the impact of that lecture was. The cool thing about this, and again, JG, Rod, thanks for helping for this entire class. And of course, Willie, as always, it's great to see you. The great thing of working with Miami Art School and this class with you guys is I get to see you every single week. And I see some of you more than once a week, right? And I could see this progression. So for me, there's been a lot of value of what advice is actually going to how it's going to materialize, and then what makes sense in terms of crafting a story and actually seeing the impact of the work that not only you guys are putting in, of course, but also some of the work that I'm hopefully helping guide. So, you know, in the last moments that we have, and I do apologize if this ran over, because I know everyone's time is valuable. I'd love to hear from every single one of you. One comment, I don't care if it's feedback, criticism, questions, complaints, what have you. I'd love to hear from everyone, just one thing you took away from this class, whether there's something you learned or something that you can hopefully teach me to be better as I continue to do this kind of work. Is I'm passionate about it. I see myself going into some kind of educational setting one day. I just want to be good at it. So I'm instead of just waiting for people to go around, I'm just going to call out names as I see them on the screen. So Roosevelt, you're actually first.
A chance, bro. Go ahead, call.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for teaching us and for the class. Personally, I enjoy the class very much. I feel like I learned a lot. I mean, the one thing that I can take away, I can take many things away, but just from this class, I think I gained what the class was about. And I think I can now implement things into creating a better pitch, to creating a better story, to creating better presentations, to better articulate research and turn findings into insights. I mean, I learned all of those things. So to me, I learned what, you know, I feel like I gained a lot of exactly what the class was about, I feel. And I loved my team. I'm gonna miss them. And it was just great. And it's also great just getting to engage and learn from other people that are in many, many different areas and in different places. So I also learned a lot just from listening to their feedback, to their way that they managed putting together a presentation and the way that they explored all of the different topics. I just feel like I gained, you know, just tons of information, and we're definitely applying it on our end through our agencies. We'll be applying a lot of stuff that we've learned, and just thank you so much.
Good. And I hope you have all the luck with new business pitches and keep on winning. You guys are definitely a great group. Thank you. Rosie, you're next.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate the time you have for us because you were always available for us. And the Tipsy Tuesday tips were the greatest. And one thing that I can take from this class is that you made us understand that we don't have to put all the information of our research in the deck, in the pitch deck, that we can use that information to make them feel like we did the research, but without really putting all of that information. That was a discussion that Roosevelt and I always have, because we want people to know that we are really working on them. So we really made it through. We really learned how to do it. So that's a big thing that we are going to implement in all of our pitches from now on. So thank you very much.
Very cool. And thank you for joining. CJ, you're up.
All right. So
you can't go until you do a magic trick.
Oh yeah, I can.
Right, I can't stop you.
What's that? What's that?
You're right. I can't stop you. Go ahead, CJ. I'll shut up.
So I mean, I've done countless presentations in my life, and I can't believe, like, every time I make one, I learn, and every time I take, especially Miami Ad School, by the way, gonna say it, since the very first day I walked into any Miami Ad School workshop, I've taken like 10 workshops alone with them. And I learned so much because you guys are out there in the field and you guys have very specific case studies and just every little piece of content that the experts that Miami Ad School brings teaches us a lot. However, this specific combination was very cool because you guys are super fast, and my personal style is to build up, and you guys see through it too quickly, and it helped me. Like, if you were the client, in my mind, you were the client, not Lululemon or anything, right? And it really helped me to simplify what we were trying to say to you, so you would let me build up. So I learned a lot about, and I'm going to use this from now on, to really simplify the message, no matter what stage of the deck you're at. Really just, 2 things, 3 things, that's like a maximum, and keep on going. And yeah, it was just a completely different style. Even the dynamic in my group were all very different, and it was a very new experience for me, which can get old after doing a million decks, right? So I'm super grateful.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, speed and simplicity, my friend.
Yeah.
It's but don't do that. I don't know that it's the best approach for everything. For new business, speed and simplicity.
Sure.
They just want the idea. So I'm glad to know that you're taking that away. Awesome. Pablo, you're up next.
So I'm in the nonprofit sector. I'm a founder of Nexus Latinx. Just put on my logo out there. And this class was great for me because of the fact that I have to constantly beg for money, basically, from people. And I never really had to do that as a lawyer. So I'm learning how to do this now. And this strategy basically helped me to really gain those insights that I think were super important, to be able to take all of that data and kind of dwindle it down to literally like a sentence or 2 sentences with these 3 points or why this sentence makes sense. And that was just was key for me. And of course, JG and Willie are my peoples, so I'll just leave it at that. And Miami Ad School is great, by the way. I am completely out of this field, out of this world, and if this is what it's like, maybe I'll go into it, but I don't know if it's always like this. So thank you.
To be fair, Pablo, everybody's always begging for money. Everybody on this call is begging for money.
I was gonna say,
so don't worry about that.
Yes. If you guys want to stop begging for money, it's my turn to plug. Come to Pharma. We have too much of it. We're giving it away.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
Bro, you go out there
Cool.
and pitch 1 or 2 pharma, you get them three main ideas, and you go throw 100 shots up. I guarantee you, one pharma client will sponsor the hell out of some of your Latinx events.
We
Oh,
we
my
actually
goodness.
have 2 big pharma clients in mind that we're already looking to pitch to. So,
Well, you
There
already
you
know who
go.
can look that stuff over. Let us know.
all right,
Yeah.
thank you. Appreciate that.
Novo Nordisk has a professional cycling team in the Tour de France every year. This is like, need I say more, right?
Wow, yeah.
Anyway, Paula, you're up.
Well, there are many things I'll take away from this class, but I think the biggest one is the efficiency of turning a pitch so quickly. And I think we're always forced to do so, but how do you do it in an efficient way that's also good? So that was one big thing that I feel that I learned, and just like synthesizing everything, right? From the beginning, it's like how to not get overwhelmed, because I think a lot of times when it comes to new business pitches, there's a sense of overwhelmness because you're on a tight timeline, and at the same time you're trying to fit in so many things that it's like, how do you synthesize at every step, so by the time you end up the presentation you have a very cohesive storyline. And I think I think from everyone, I mean, I think advertising is a place where you get so much influence from those around you, and you kind of pick and choose like all of the things that you're going to take away from everybody, and like the things, hearing everybody talk and hearing everybody think a different way is one big thing. And I think also in the office hours, like seeing the way that you guys think and picking up those things that you can use in the future yourself is so important, and it's so helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it honestly, it helps. It's a two-way street, right? Because I'm very used to the way that I go about filling out briefs, right? And I'm sure Trav comes from, same world, but slightly different world at the same time, right? Like, and I'm sure you have your ingrained process. So to walk it through you guys and watch the different styles that each team brings to the table, it's really, really helpful for us. Me specifically, I'll speak for myself, because one of the things that I'm working on now in terms of career development isn't just how to do strategy, but it's how to help others do strategy. That's probably the hardest part, at least for a strategist, right? Like, we're so cerebral, but then to step outside of your own work and you're like, wait, how do I make sure someone that reports to me is also doing this kind of work, but allowing them to do it in a way that makes the most sense for them? That's one of the things that I definitely tried to pick up on here, and I think you guys really helped me out. So that's a big thank you back to you guys too.
Yeah, it's definitely huge when you get the thinking of somebody else, because it lets you out of your own mold, because you kind of get used to doing things your way. And I think once you start seeing influences from other people, and even within my team, and seeing the way that other people are thinking about things, and it's so different to what you may be thinking, and it's like, how do you integrate everything together so we can get the best of everyone, right? So that's one big thing. That
100%. Cool. Michael Watson, you're up.
Hey guys. So I actually, for takeaways, I thought that this course was extremely challenging. It reminded me of a marketing course that I took in business school, but profoundly, I thought it was definitely got me to go outside of my comfort zone, as well as to really think creatively. I did come from an arts background in my earlier life. And so it kind of got me to, not think the same way that I typically do. Pertaining to my, I'm actually on the front end of the space. So, pertaining to my job, I'm constantly in the front of Fortune 500 companies, multinational companies on a global scale. I've done, enterprise sales and consulting and pitches to, people here domestically as well as internationally, and just I've really have garnered a profound appreciation for the marketing and strategy space. So, and I appreciate like all my teammates and everyone here, because it was just so insightful and so fun. It was like, I'm here right now at 9:30 and I have to be up at 4:30. So it was definitely, it was definitely, a great experience, and it's not going to be the last one.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll look forward to hopefully working side by side on another brief with you, man. Mike, Mike number 2 or Mike number 1, who cares?
So I wanted to do this with my business partner, Brandon, because one of the biggest things that we struggle with is new business, right? And I think the most important thing that we took away is that we don't have time to do this. In order for us to do this effectively, we do need tools and we do need resources. I actually started talking to Work in order to at least cut our research time, at least in the beginning part, to make that part a little bit more efficient. That way we can find those insights, we can synthesize them faster and be able to turn around a brief a lot faster than what we're normally used to. So definitely time and being efficient is the most important thing that we are definitely taking away, and then figuring out how we're going to move forward and really start to attack new business, because that's something we've been relying a lot of our based on our own networks, and that's gotten us so far. So now we have to really get out there.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many cool ways to get aggressive as a small agency these days. And I definitely miss my small agency days, because I remember, and I think we were talking about this in our last one-on-one, I used to literally handwrite letters on behalf of our chief strategy officer and mail them out to CMOs in a hope to even get them to respond, like handwritten notes. And we would write like about 30 of them a day. And in those notes are literal briefs. Like we would put in creative ideas, we put in strategic positionings, we would literally draw out the 4 points and 4 C's and all these different exercises and show them the work. So definitely this is a cool time to think around, what does COVID mean for the more innovative new business pitch? So if you ever need help, here is a resource, man. Cool. Next up, Jose.
¿Qué te digo? My biggest takeaway from this class is, I know all the people that is here, like it helped me out a lot in my thinking process. I'm someone that I really get to conclusions like really fast, and I don't see a lot of things because of that. When you have a lot of people around that it's telling you like a lot of different ideas, you can like put a break on it and see what's going on around, and it helped me out a lot. Like to think in a way that maybe I wasn't seeing because of arriving to conclusions that fast. Pretty much that's it.
For sure. Analytical thinking, man.
Great point. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good point. Who do we have next? I gotta flip over to this screen. Monique.
Hi. Well, first, I want to thank you for your time and for Travis' time. This experience was awesome and was a totally challenge for me, because I have a little bit trouble to speak in English. So I was like, oh my God, I'm afraid to be here. So that's maybe my first challenge. And I just start to enjoy the classes, because the first class I was a little bit nervous, but then you give me like the confidence, like to feel good. Travis and you laugh at me, and it was so good in some point. Yeah, and it was like, oh my God, it's fine by me. And well, I learned a lot of things, and I want to thank a lot to my group. They tried to understand all the things I was trying to say in the meetings. And sometimes I was so freaked out, I was started speaking in Spanish, and they always understand me, and I appreciate that. And that's it. I don't know. I learned something so important, and was to say it up. To say like a brief idea in a brief way. I have like sometimes this problem that I write a lot, and I don't know how to make that more short. So was so good to me, and thank you a lot for your time.
Well, I love that, Monique, and I'm just showing you my notes from this class alone. I think I have like 7 pages of notes from things that people have like said or done, and I think like I just really love that you found confidence to keep going when you said like when you first started like the language barrier was a challenge for you, but you like still stuck through it. You still engage with your group and you still put your all into it. So I just want to say shout out to you, because literally at some points I felt really bad because I'm like, shoot, I can't understand Spanish. And so like I got to one point in class, I was like, screw it, just talk in Spanish. I'll use Google Translate to understand you, because that's like how I feel though. Cause I feel really bad that like you couldn't express yourself as full as you could, but then also I don't speak Spanish. I can understand it, but at the same time, like as someone like Eric, I'm aspiring to do more teaching and to help figure out if I can help enable other people to learn and grow without being able to fully we don't speak the same language, right? But
I improved my English, and maybe if I took like four more courses on Miami at school, I'm just going to learn a lot of English.
But also on the flip side, like again, I'm not just throwing ideas out there for JG and Willie, but like at the same time, it's like if there was a way for students to also have like literally, I know this is a lot, but to have someone else that like it's like, hey, we have a dual instructorship where someone speaks fully Spanish and like the other one speaks English, and like that's just an idea, but like
you're looking at them right here. JJ and
what
I
up
do
though?
That in quite a few classes. You know, I even and some people here have taken classes with me. I'll give my classes in English, and I'll have to switch on the fly to Spanish for certain students that I know are picking up 8% of what I'm saying in English. So we do have certain cases where we have either someone that like a mentor that they can go to and say like, I didn't understand a fucking word that Travis said. He said these words in this combination. What does that mean? Or even on like presentations and stuff like that, we give a lot of help to students when they say, hey, I'm trying to get this idea out in English and I just don't know how to use the best words for the presentation for it. And we'll kind of help them think through that process. But we do have a rule at Miami Ad School, and I don't know if they told you guys, but Monique, you'll appreciate this, as I'm sure a bunch of people will. We put the onus on the instructors to deliver instruction to multilingual students, right? So I always tell my students, yeah, I know, it's crazy, but I always tell my students, the class might be in English, but if you best express yourself in Spanish and you are dead set on the fact that you want to present your work in Spanish, do it. That we as an organization will find a way to make sure that the instructor understands you and that gets across. So we very much keep that in mind as we do this.
It was better for me that in all this time I could express myself in English because it helped me a lot. And I don't have the camera because I'm wearing pajama right now. Yeah. And another thing, I just want to say to my mates here that always, and I was talking with my group, and always put like the chest. And we say this in Spanish, like pon el pecho. O sea, don't worry about it and just keep going.
Like face everything with your chest.
Yeah, face everything with the chest.
Stay with your chest.
I love it. I love it. Oh, that's so great. Awesome. Well, thank you, Monique. Thanks for sharing. And one comment I will say is, one thing I've noticed in a lot of big holding group agencies is the increase in investment in multicultural agencies, right? I know McCann has one. I know Havas is. Nope, I don't know anything about Havas, even though I work there, but it's okay. I'm learning. I know FCB has multicultural agencies under its blanket organization. So not only is the onus on instructors to kind of make sure the students are understood, but it's on the onus of marketing and advertising agencies and holding groups to make sure that we can find talent where talent is, no matter how talent presents itself, right? So and as a violinist that made a 14-year career pivot, I can appreciate what it's like to be an outsider coming in. And I also recognize that advertising is definitely way far off from where it should be in terms of being accessible as a career path. But one step at a time, and I'm so glad you stuck with this and stuck through with it and got to the end. Hopefully you can start applying some of the learnings here, but either way, I'll always be around, so feel free to reach out, and I can't stress it enough. I'm always here to help. And last but not least, Brandon, would love to hear from you now.
Awesome. So I think that one of my favorite things that I learned was part of the conversation we had the other day, Eric, which was just learning how to uncover problems, like ways that we can use like this, looking at different types of problems that we could solve. Like, what is that bigger problem? Like, I know you threw out an example last time, which I thought was great. Like, if it's a shoe company that comes to you and they're like, hey, we need to sell this shoe. We need to sell $1 million worth of these shoes. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, what is that going to solve? Like, right. That's, if the shoes are $20 each shoe, we're selling $20 million for the company. So the question is more than just, okay, what is that shoe? What are you guys going to invest into it? And it just starts opening all these different areas on opportunities where we can ask questions and try to get into, to solve that for that brand. And then I think the second biggest thing is really kind of seeing what Mike actually does even further, and actually going through the process and understanding exactly why I don't do strategy, right? And I really lean and depend on him for it. Because I mean, it's very interesting, but it is like insanely intense to really go through, find all that data, uncover the right insights, come up with that like strategic idea. Because normally when it comes to me at the agency, it's kind of like, oh, Brandon, I want to like sit with you and give you an idea of like where I'm at, and I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds great, but I don't know how he got there, right? I just know he's coming with all of that data already. So kind of going through this entire process and really understanding everything that he does, I think is going to be really helpful for us at the agency, because it's going to allow me to, when he does come to me and say, hey, like to bounce ideas, and I'll already have an insight, and I'll know, okay, I'll be able to support him more than just saying, oh, I like that or I don't like that, right? Which I think is his main reason for getting me involved in the class and kind of seeing it firsthand.
And we
This is
just
my favorite takeaway, by the way.
we just need some more tools. That's all we need. But
My favorite takeaway in all of this right now is I finally fucking know what my business partner does. So I'm putting that on the next T-shirt. I mean, that's how we're selling the next class.
I actually like that. That's very well put. Very well.
Why did it take so long for him to figure this out?
I swear to God, that's me. He'll be like, I can't deliver that, Friday or whatever. And I'd be like, Mike, but you've been working on this for weeks. Come on. And he'll be like, dude, it takes time. And I'm like, sorry.
I can't tell you how many creative directors I piss off all the time, because I'm like, hey, listen, you guys get to walk on stage at Cannes and accept the award. Where are we? We're in the back. We're kind of like, we're working on the next brief already. We have no time. We're researching. No, but in all fairness, we are the lab rats of getting smarter in our clients' business, right? We have the impossible job of being smarter than our clients about their own business, which is another way to put it. It's an impossible job, but we get as close as possible. And the person that gets closest wins, right? So that's awesome to hear. I also love that piece of feedback. I was hosting a dinner with a bunch of copywriters last night. I am obsessed with copywriters in general. I love the way they think, but I always say, if you're incredibly talented as a copywriter, you might not even need a strategist, because you already know how to write, you know how to craft a story. All you then need to do is figure out who you're telling the story to, right? And if you can figure that out, then you sort of don't need your strategist. Like, we would like to think that we're all important. We're not. Sorry, Mike, undercut you there. But recognizing that, it's great to have an awesome strategist and awesome creative art director and copywriter, right? And that trio really helps, because now you have more brain power. Now you have more analysis. So yeah, it's you know what, if you're coming out of this class and you're like, I just learned to appreciate strategy, game on. Like, that's the least I could do. So I love that. And one person in particular I would love to get feedback from. Rod, you're kind of a special case because you were taking this class along with everyone, but you're also an instructor. So I'd love to hear from your perspective. You know, what were the pros, cons? Like, what would you have done differently? And you know, what are you taking away from this?
Yeah, I mean, I love the class. You know, for the most part, our agency is very tactical, and it's giving me perspective on how we can get like even bigger retainers, right? Like, I mean, I think we're doing well with the retainer size, but like, I mean, I'm talking about like double, triple, quadruple the size of the retainers with.
Eric, Rod is rich. Don't listen to him.
No.
Do you see this bookshelf? I don't believe it.
Yeah. Can I just say that Raj won the Background of the Night award? Definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. I will say I have actually literally worked on pitches with Rod, and we have had this exact same conversation.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I wish Rod would tell me what Brandon just told Mike. Just kidding. Where we've worked, I mean, you know, we've worked on things together where he's like, brand positioning, why? What is this? I know it's a thing, but like, how long does it take? And you know, but yeah, it's a great point though.
Actually, I mean, you're right. Like, I think now I understand all those conversations that we had, all those arguments.
I only bring it up because he sent me a text like when he noticed that I was in this class listening in, saying like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I mean, it's giving me great perspective as to how we can present so much more value, right? With the strategies and the ideation, like the whole process from like research to coming up with what the problem is to the solution and then turning it into a story. I mean, that's a huge piece. And yeah, I mean, I'm always looking to increase the amount of revenue per engagement. So I think this is going to be a huge piece for us to be even more successful.
There you go.
Yeah.
Love it. One thing I'm also laughing at in my head. Raise your hand if you remember critical thinking when you were in school.
Yeah.
See, I'm looking at Brandon, and I'm saying this right now. I'm like, this is exactly why you think that way. It's because when we were in school, we didn't critically think. And so now when we're adults, we get out here and we got to think deeply about problems that are bigger than we normally think about when tying our shoe or flushing the toilet. Like, it's fucking hard. Like, so when a lot of people are just like come out and they like roll into this like strategy position and they like have a problem they're going to solve, they just walk up, they're like, I'm a good problem solver. But like, when's the last time you thought critically about anything besides what you're going to eat for dinner? And like, when you think about that, y'all all thought critically for the last 4 or 5 weeks together collectively, which is like really putting your minds through something strenuous that I also want to point out. Because as we all think about this new normal and collaborations and just having to work remotely, like you all did something that not many people, even that are in school right now, have been able to do successfully. Like you literally came together collectively in all different places. You solved a problem, right? And then you presented solutions and everybody played their part in like getting something accomplished in 5 weeks in different countries, in different time zones. Like, that's just something that I just want to throw in there. Like, y'all did something great. And these are the things that you need teachers and instructors to like remind you of, because you are the group that are trailblazing and you're doing things in ways that you might not even see is adding value to other people's lives. And so I don't want y'all to get too far ahead of like, I want to go build the next pitch and I want to like get these bigger retainers, but like take a freaking break, because my brain hurts. And if my brain hurts, I know y'all's brains hurts, because y'all did a lot more work than I did in this class. So just throwing that out there as a little piece of like motivation for y'all.
Can I just add one more thing really quickly too? I know it's late. I'm sorry. I really do respect a lot JG and Willie and just Miami Ad School in general, because this is the first like official class that I've really taken with them. And as part of my organization, I'm always trying to figure out the best way to teach young people, the best way to learn myself, right? And this style is very differently from a lot of colleges. It's very different from anything I've taken, but I think it's one of the best styles to learn this field, I would say, right? It's just it's very hands-on approach, and I just think that it's really one of the better ways to learn this business from an outsider's point of view.
That's awesome.
We'll
so
hook you
cool.
on that. Thanks.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
put that on
gonna
the
be that
script.
guy and be like, yo, this party was hella fun. Definitely would love to stay for happy hour, but
Let's
Papa's gotta go.
bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Wait,
gotta get
before we
stuff
bounce, I promised something in the first class that I want to deliver on. I told you guys I would never ask you guys to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So, anyone want to hear a 60-second elevator pitch?
Do it.
Yes.
All right,
please.
Well,
cool.
what you got
All
up here? I'm gonna kick my feet up for
All
this.
right. I was, and I wanted to wait till this class because I wanted to hear what everyone's opinion. And I synthesized a lot of your ideas. So these are not original. I'm just synthesizing all three groups into a cohesive pitch. We're going up against Equinox. That's one of the biggest competitors right now. We're going up against Peloton. What do all these companies have in common? They are high-end, premium luxury goods, but they all do one thing in common, which is they build community and content around the goal. In Greek mythology, not mythology, it's just their ethos. There's atelic and there's telic. One is the respect of the end process. The ends justify the means. And the other is a true appreciation of the process of having achieved, right? So a hiker that goes and hikes because they want to see the view, or the hiker that says, oh man, I really love walking through nature. I'm here because this is therapy itself, right? The process of doing. In today's world, through COVID-19, we need to connect better with ourselves. If we can sit in a room alone, thousands of feet apart from the next human being, living like we all live in cities where we don't even know our neighbor's name, what we really need to do is have our technology remind us of our humanity. As group 3 and group 1 said, we need the mirror to help us connect with ourselves. And if all sweat lifers believe that working out, wellness, and fitness, and beauty, and all that connects those three things is all about a reflection of your true self, your best self, then but what better way than to provide a mirror that is positioned as the shrine to sweat life and true inner beauty and the best version of yourself tomorrow. That's what the mirror provides. It is your in-home altar to the sweat life. That's my positioning. 60 seconds.
Wow.
Yes.
That right there, guys, is why you teach the class.
$500 million.
All right, now go build a deck. All right,
Hold
guys.
up, you lying. You ain't playing no damn piano. You was in theater. You lying.
So guys, before you leave, thank you very much to Eric and Travis. What better way to listen to Eric now? You know, it was worth the 5 weeks. If you had told me like I have to like be here 5 weeks to listen to that minute, 60-second pitch, it's worth it. So guys, I'm talking to Travis, I'm talking to Eric. You guys exemplify or like show what Miami Ad School is all about. You guys are true instructors, yeah? And one thing that when Willie and I sat down and said like, who are we looking for instructors? It wasn't that much about like their position and their success in life. It was about how much they want to give to others. And what you guys have done during these 5 weeks, not only like these 2 hours, 3 hours in class, but like I heard from every student how available you were all the time to make them better. That's what makes instructor a great instructor. And my name, Miami Ad School Punta Cana's name, and my family, I thank you, Eric, thank you, Travis, for what you have brought to us. And I know, because I'm glad to hear that you guys are really looking how to get more into being instructors and teachers. I want to let you know now that you have a house. You have a place where you can come and play. The same way we tell our students to come and play with us. I'm telling you guys, you can come and play with us. And to you students who are here, I know where you're all coming from, different places. I know from agencies, from personal relationships, and I'm glad that what Travis said at the end about like you don't know how great it was for you to work with students with a group from other locations under this time that we're living. We tell our students that this is the future, and knowing how to collaborate with people from other cultures, other time zones, and then coming to this environment and present and create an impact. It's what it's all about. So you guys got out of here not only about knowing how to win a pitch in 5 weeks, you got out of here knowing how to collaborate and present in this space and the way we're living. So, and that's thanks to the leadership of Eric and Travis. So Eric, Travis, thank you very much. You guys are amazing, and we love you. And I know that this is going to be the beginning of many. And I'm glad that Willie was able to join us, because I kept telling Willie, you have to listen to these guys. And I kept recording the sessions, and he's like, oh no, I'm too busy to listen to this shit.
I canceled a client meeting for this, so.
Okay, so.
Nice. Hopefully we can win you back a bigger client meeting with, you know.
Oh, damn right. Yeah.
So, you guys, you got to do it again, because my business partner saw this and he wanted to join. I don't know why he just didn't mention it, but he told me like yesterday about it, and I'm like, well, you should have just been here. And I think
last class.
Yeah, well, the next class. I'm waiting for the next class. That's what I'm saying.
No, but thank you guys. Again, there's a lot of gratitude coming from me and from Miami High School to you, Eric, and to you, Travis, for what you have done. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming, and thanks again to Miami High School Punta Cana. Peace, guys.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.